everyone, and welcome back to the Project Manga Podcast, where we cover One Piece, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Mashle, Dr. Stone, and Jujutsu Kaisen, week to week. Back this week to discuss Weekly Shonen Jump issues number 21 and 22. I'm your host, Knox.
And I'm Nickums.
And before we get into the discussion tonight, of course, we'd like you to take a look at the description down below. That's going to be where you find us on all of our individual social media accounts like Twitter. That's going to be where you can join any of our online communities like Discord, ways that you can listen to the Project Manga Podcast wherever you normally listen to your podcast. And of course, there's going to be ways that you can support what we do here by visiting our online store and Patreon. There's also going to be timestamps down below. You can use those to navigate yourself throughout the video, so you can skip any segments for any reason you need to. But getting into the discussion tonight, we got a big week here, full roster before we go into Golden Week. And wow.
Yeah.
A lot of big conversations to be had tonight. Me and you back again tonight.
Let's do it.
I feel like it's been a while since the dynamic duo had to take it down. But I love how we have been getting so many other one-on-one conversations on the show. I think that people have really been liking that. Yeah, for sure. But it's back. It's them hours again, okay? And we're going into Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 147. Even pandas. Rip Yaga, man. I wasn't ready, dude.
Yeah. That was pretty unexpected.
It was super unexpected.
Very emotional chapter, and some good information as well.
It makes sense for Yaga to die, for a story like Jujutsu Kaisen, where you kind of establish that, he is being held, for execution in like 10 chapters ago, whenever we got that information. Right. And, the Shonen fan in you wants to go, well, this is a retrieval arc now. You know what I mean? Or something like that. You make up some kind of justification that they're going to go save this man, or they're going to do something and he's going to be all right. And then just the next time we get Yaga is his send-off chapter going into his execution. And it's very Jujutsu Kaisen to do this. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And as far as the deaths that we've seen go, I feel like Yaga's is one that I feel like is very controversial, especially with what we've kind of seen on Twitter. At least what I've kind of seen on Twitter, and I think Yaga's death was handled pretty well. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think
it was quick.
It was quick, but that's kind of like, that's kind of the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a certain level of someone put it the best on my tweet that I had a little bit earlier, but there's a certain like level of insignificance. You know what I mean? That comes inside of the theme of death in Jujutsu Kaisen, that it can happen at any moment to anyone, and you're not going to have, a grandiose send-off every time, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what the people in this story have to deal with, and as much of it is, kind of used as a subversion to shonen expectations a lot of the time, I feel like. I mean, it's kind of par for the course inside of something that I'm sure we'll come to understand as a deconstruction as time goes on. But it's the way that it's executed is so like gut-wrenching when it happens, because at least I have a sense of, I feel like kind of unfulfilled. Like I wanted more from Yaga. I understand what his role in the narrative was, and and his death doesn't make me feel like it was misplaced, but it was so like, there's just a little bit of a feeling like I didn't get enough Yaga, and I feel like that's what makes the death hit so hard in a story like Jujutsu Kaisen, is that you get a lot of some characters, but right when you think you want a little bit more, it's, you know what I mean? And
that line, I feel like, is the fact that Yaga, he's not like an A-level character, you know what I mean? Like, he's not a major character. He's like a B-level character.
Right.
And that his ranking there, you either rank him higher, you know what I mean? Like, you really like him and you want more, or you rank him a little lower and you're like, well, I don't really care too much about Yaga. We've only seen him, like a handful of times. Right. Yes, he's Panda's dad. I like Panda better, you know what I mean? Like, but certainly, like, starting off the chapter, right? Yeah. Where he's in prison and he's being interrogated about his ability, right? Yes. Or rather his relationship to Panda. Right. And like, dude, like, how did you make this panda? Or how do you not know how? Do you really not know? Because they want to know. Because as they say on page 3, right? Like, yes, pretty much anyone can probably like make a cursed corpse that is independent, can operate independently, but not forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
It eventually will run out of energy. But
Right.
Panda doesn't run out of energy. He has his own reserve, self-sustaining energy.
Yes.
It's like, how did that happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
Very, very interesting to go into that aspect of Yaga's character.
And it makes sense as much as I fucking hate Gakuganji and all of these higher ups that do what they're doing, they're handled actually really well. And this logic that he has here makes a lot of sense as far as if you can intentionally make those, you can make an army. You know what I mean? And obviously this goes into the corrupt, power hungry, motivations of these higher ups. But the skepticism of anyone that has an ability that you don't fully understand that you think is a threat to you, you want to wipe it off the board or learn how to control it so that you can use it for your own military might or something like that. I think it does a lot for that growing presence of authority that will eventually be like the biggest stakes driver, I feel like, in the series eventually, is when it comes down to these higher ups. They got to go eventually. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I feel like these little moments here that kind of build that threat up, you know what I mean, inside of their outlook and all the power they have and what they can do with it, who they can send after who, and who they can, schedule for execution here and who they can apprehend there. And it's like that's kind of scary to think about, you know what I mean? Especially when you have all of this other chaos going on. It's like you could tell that just from this dialogue right here that they were waiting, you know what I mean, for Gojo to leave so that they can start, really putting all of the lesser than Gojo sorcerers that they outrank in a yoke of oppression that we kind of like see here. And it's like, man, this is really good stuff. It's kind of like how I always thought we would eventually see the Gorosei, behaving. And I guess we get a lot of Gorosei stuff like, indirectly through people that are directly under them, or whatever, but we don't get like hardcore Gorosei scenes, you know what I mean? And this kind of feels like that.
It's certainly approaching it, and like this this character we see later, after the flashback, right, where Yaga is kind of seems like he's maybe just trying to escape whatever campus he's on or some whatever building he's at or whatever he's trying to escape, and you got this dude with like this kind of ninja mask, right, and the scar, and he's like, let me sell it to you straight here. All I want out of you is how to make those cursed corpses. You know what I mean? Just like tell me how to make the cursed corpses, because his higher ups. You know what I mean? Like the higher ups, they want to make that army. You know what I mean? You can say on the one hand, as you're saying, right? Like there's suspicion and there's justified fear of someone who could create an army. But they don't really care. They just want to make their own army. Obviously,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I bet that is exactly what they want to do. They want to act like it's, oh, we don't want to have to fight an army of these, but like you're saying, it's probably, no, we want this army, bro. And if we're not going to have the army, then you got to go, because your power is something that we can't really comprehend right now, and that's scary to us as people in power. Right. Yeah. Another thing about the Yaga death that I think is something that people should think more about if they haven't already is that Yaga, when it comes to the complaint of his relevance in the story and, what impact his death was supposed to have in the narrative and who it was for and who it was supposed to affect and what it was supposed to do to us as readers, I think the biggest thing to take away from Yaga, despite the hardcore development that's kind of missing, for his character, he is a big character to a lot of the main cast. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes down to it, now that he's passed, when the people that matter the most to him get wind of it, we're going to get probably all types of flashback scenes of them remembering times with Yaga. And I feel like that's going to hit so much harder after now that he's passed, than it would have if we would have just gotten, out of place hardcore development for him somewhere woven into the story that we have already. You know what I mean? Like, everything that's happened in Jujutsu Kaisen so far feels really good. And sure, Gege could have done whatever they wanted and put Masamichi development in there anywhere. But I think that at least given the circumstances that we have, what we have right now, Yaga is dead. So since he is dead and we feel like he was missing a little bit of development, I feel like we're still going to see that vicariously through, the rest of the cast that meant a lot to him. You know what I mean? So
I feel like his death
is the end of his characterization at all.
No, I totally agree, especially because of Panda, right? And at one point, before this chapter, you could have said like, dang, like, what side is Kusakabe on? What side is Panda on? You know what I mean? Relative to Yuji. Now, with this chapter, Panda seeing the higher-ups essentially kill Yaga, his father, right? Now he's going to be like, well, my father was a good guy.
Right.
The higher ups are bad because they killed Yaga, right?
Yes.
Therefore, maybe I should trust Yuji, who the higher ups also are opposed to, right? Like maybe Yuji isn't bad. It kind of solidifies that. And obviously, Yaga and Yuji have had a short past, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Yaga definitely helped out Yuji when he was, first joining the Jujutsu High or whatever. So like now, I feel like this creates a bond between Yuji and Panda that maybe wasn't there before, or now it's just going to be enhanced even further.
Yeah, I love that. And this is really for Panda, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like obviously Yaga is the side character that we've already talked about him being. You know what I mean? And he has a specific role in the narrative that I think he absolutely fulfilled. We got a lot of world building like through Yaga's technique and just like through his words throughout the arcs that he's been involved in. So like we learn a lot about what's going on around us. Not a lot, but like he has been the vehicle for a lot of good information in Jujutsu Kaisen, despite how low impact him as a character actually is to anything that's happening. You know what I mean? And like I was saying, anytime, now that he's dead, anytime that these characters have a reason to think about him, we're probably going to get flashbacks that enhance his character. But in the moment here, like I feel like this is for Panda, because Panda is the character that's going to be continuing in the story. He's the one that has just seen his father murdered in front of him. This is going to be big for Panda's motivations moving forward. Obviously, Panda is interconnected emotionally with a couple other characters that matter to us. So the way he feels about this is then going to bleed into how Inumaki and Maki and the rest of, you know, the characters that we love all feel about this. Like this is going to affect everybody, you know.
100%.
I mean? And I think it's good, because I think that Panda was a character that was kind of underwhelming to a lot of people, and people were kind of like wondering like what he was kind of doing there at first. And then he had amazing fight scenes, and now he's kind of like been relegated to a background character again, and now it seems like he's actually getting a little bit more narrative purpose after this chapter, and that's what it's really for. I mean, Yaga got the development that he got because this is his send-off chapter. Of course, you're going to give more on the character before they die. You're not just going to fucking entirely off-screen Yaga, you know what I mean? So this feels really good to me. I think a lot of the complaints just come from people expecting, you know, shonen deaths to be handled a certain way based on their history inside of the genre. You know what I mean? And that coupled with the fact that people want more from him. So they will probably say that this is poorly done because it's not meeting their expectations. But it's like everyone, you know, every mangaka has, you know, a message that they're trying to communicate in their own way. And like I was saying on the timeline a little bit earlier, I feel like people should spend more time trying to, you know, get inside the mind of the author to the best of their ability and try to understand where they're coming from in their own story, instead of automatically comparing it to other stories that have done the scene a different way. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree with you. And as you say, this chapter is really for Panda. I mean, it's for us, the reader, in terms of we get a lot of very interesting information about these cursed corpses and how they work. All these like little cursed corpses in this flashback are super interesting.
And then potential A.A. Milne reference here with Winnie the Pooh. This is like
the 1,000-acre wood and
100-acre wood, like Christopher Robin shit. You know what I mean? Someone put it on the timeline, like literally, like they were waiting for this to come out officially. So they probably had that tweet in the drafts, bro. Because that shit was like beautiful. It's literally like Christopher Robin on his knees peeking into a door just like this, and then and then it's the other one where he's on the stump, or he's on the tree, and Winnie is right there instead of, you know, Takeru, and it's like, whoo! Yeah, like that's fucking sick, dude. And like that just enhances it even more if you know the reference. You know what I mean?
Like, oh, definitely.
It's like this does a lot, you know.
I did not recognize it, but I love that. I love that.
A lot of Western references are popping up in not just My Hero Academia, but like a lot of things in Jump lately. Like there's even a potential, this is probably less likely, but there's even I'm sure a lot of our viewers out there have already seen the tweet with the Vision panel next to the Panda panel at the end, where he says even pandas cry. Potential shout out to John Buscema's Vision run, where it's literally the Vision, like I'm sure you guys have fucking seen it. It's like him crying with the tear coming down. Even androids can cry. Like, come on, man. If that's a reference, that's amazing.
Right.
I don't know if
you think about it. If you think about it, Panda is an android kind of, right?
Exactly.
An artificially created being with his own thoughts and opinions and his own intelligence that is real. You know what I mean? Like obviously, in the history of sci-fi, there's always that question, like, are androids real, right? You know, do androids dream of electric sheep kind of shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But Panda is basically a flesh android, which is
Right.
very, very interesting. And I personally think this is a reference. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, I'm not a big Marvel guy, so
yeah. And I mean, inside of the Vision run, I mean, it's handled a little bit differently. Obviously, this is Jujutsu Kaisen. It's a story about death, and this is like you know, Panda crying after the death of his father. It's a completely different reason why Vision is crying in the comic book. But still, though, like it could like that's the thing, is that Gege Akutami is a professional comic book artist.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense that professional comic book artists, no matter where they are on the map, study illustration from around the fucking globe. Like Kohei Horikoshi is very unapologetic about his influences from the West, you know what I mean? And we see other Western influences that aren't as, you know, blatant in other, you know, Eastern media all the time, so it's not too far outside of the realm of possibility, especially when we have the A.A. Milne reference like pages before this, you know, inside of Winnie the Pooh. Like, I like it. I like the way it feels. Even though it, like, I don't know why I don't want to say it's for sure a reference for some reason, but it feels really fucking good to me right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about this flashback, huh?
Yeah, let's do that.
So we're talking with this this Takeru, this little guy. He's very cute. And then the flashback is kind of cut into pieces a little bit, I feel like, right? Like we start off on this log, and he's just talking to Takeru on the log or whatever.
Yep.
And I'll be gone for a while. And then it kind of, I feel like, switches scenes. And then he's doing that pose, looking into the tree like Christopher Robin, right? And seeing a whole gang of people, right? Like, are these more cursed corpses on page 6, probably?
I think so, yeah. I think these are... Now, the way that the conversation happens with Kusakabe and his sister makes me think that, like, whenever someone dies that knows who Masamichi Yaga is, they bring them to him to try to, you know, like, keep them living in the form alive, of a cursed corpse. Around. Right, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think that is... I think that's just a bunch of dead people that he kept alive through corpse technique.
I think you are totally right. And let's, if you don't mind, let's go ahead a little bit to the very end, right before this scene with Panda, right? But Gakuganji is encountering, you know, Yaga, killed Yaga, and then Yaga gives up the secret. He gives up how he makes these cursed corpses. And he's like, Gakuganji's like, why did you tell me this?
Because I wanted to curse your dumbass.
This is a fucking curse, boy.
Yes, sir.
From me to you. And that curse, one of my ideas of like what the curse is exactly, is now Gakuganji is maybe going to feel compelled to try and save his family in this way. And at the same time, become the same sort of like, I don't know, necromancer type sorcerer that the higher ups will be like, oh, Gakuganji, now you're the one with the secrets. Well, we're gonna torture you. We're gonna capture you. We're gonna try to extract the information of how to make these corpses from you, Gakuganji.
Honestly, I think that would be really cool. I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess since the way that they're kind of talking about it in the beginning of the chapter, it's like once you have the information, you can repeat it, no matter, even if your technique isn't like cursed corpses, right? So
yeah.
That's kind of confusing to me, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
Sure.
But I like this because one, that makes the drama a lot messier, which I'm like all here for inside of like the character, you know, interactions inside of Jujutsu Kaisen. I feel like that's an incredible balance that it has or that's an incredible weight that it has to balance out the action, right?
Yes.
Is how good the drama is inside of family dynamics and inside of lineage, which is essentially the same thing. But you know what I mean? So Gakuganji being this asshole that we definitely want dead now for what he just did to fucking Yaga, and because he's been a fucking slithery old bastard the whole fucking comic book anyway. Yep. Like, now we have a reason here to potentially kind of sympathize with him if he has been cursed in the way that you're saying, and he does go on with a newfound appreciation for cursed corpses and what Masamichi was doing, and then does kind of, either because of this corpse or because of he's turned over a new leaf or whatever, he now is carrying on the will of Masamichi, which creates issues inside of his faction in the higher ups, which makes a lot more messy drama that I literally just said I want more of in Jujutsu Kaisen. So I think I like the idea. I think that would be cool for Gakuganji's character. I'm pretty sure that because of the whole culling game situation, that Gege Akutami might just keep him a bastard the whole time and just have him cause issues throughout the culling game potentially. But I like where this is going. And a lot of people said that he bashed his guitar over the fucking head of Yaga after he killed him, or he like hit him with the technique and then finished him by bashing his guitar over his head because his guitar is broken.
It is definitely broken.
I don't see a crazy head wound like that though. I think his guitar might have just broken because the amount of like effort he had to put into destroying Yaga, because you can assume that maybe they're close to equal footing. For sure. At least power wise. So maybe the amount of power that it required Gakuganji to kill Yaga the way that it did just broke his guitar, because I don't see a very massive head wound here, and I don't know where else he would have hit him with this guitar. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I definitely did not think while reading this that this was some sort of like bash him over the head kind of situation. I much prefer the idea that it broke in the battle, right? The battle was so intense. Either he used so much cursed energy that it broke his own tool, or Yaga broke it in a scuffle or something. You know what I mean? Is there
no damage on Yaga? Or I mean on Gakuganji? Oh no, there is. He's got a little bit of damage. Okay.
Yeah.
So so what? He didn't have no cursed puppets with him, so he just squared up with him?
I think
hand to hand, dude. Yaga's such a beast.
I mean, he looks like a beast. On page 12 where he takes off the coat, like, I'm here to see my son.
Let's go. Oh my. So wait. Oh, he's talking about Panda. He's coming to see Panda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because if
Panda's
you go back a couple pages, he was captured to bait out Yaga.
That's right. Absolutely. But Panda's already free because of Kusakabe. Okay. I see what's going on here.
Yep.
God damn, this is a very heart-rending chapter. One thing I want to say is on the last page, now that I remember, this moth panel is it was in the translator note on the scan, but it's not here in the official, because obviously I don't really do that too often. But what was cool is that the translator note said that the Yaga kanji, or maybe it's just the meaning of the word Yaga is owlet moth.
Oh. And there's the dead moth on the ground or whatever. Yeah. Oh, that's very sad. Damn. Yeah.
But then also there's probably further symbolism inside of the moths to flame kind of thing, with Yaga coming directly to the panda bait.
Yep, the bait. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Bait. Yeah, exactly. I love Gege Akutami, bro.
Yes.
There ain't nothing you could say to Gege, man. Like this. This is something that I feel like, as controversial as it is right now, I feel like is only going to be a week-to-week criticism. Yaga's death for someone who will binge all the way up to some future point in Jujutsu Kaisen will probably feel like this was great. Retrospectively, you'll probably see people that complained about this going, it probably wasn't that bad later if they ever decide to own up to it. Who knows? But I feel like this is not as big of a deal as people are making it. And I feel like people are just impatient and want to see the culling game. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I
you know
definitely
what I mean? If I'm being frank,
sure.
you know what I mean? Because, and you want to know why I say that? You're not on Twitter as much, but I have to throw this out here. After Jujutsu Kaisen ended Shibuya Incident, it went into Yuta and Yuji assassination, which was obviously high octane, and people were like, are we not going to get an aftermath? What's going on here? And then the culling game rules dropped, and people were like, we're going right into a battle royale? Like, Gege needs to slow it the fuck down. It's been 10 chapters since then, and there hasn't really been any fighting, and we've gotten like world building, exposition, and aftermath stuff, and now people are complaining about the aftermath stuff, and it's like, I don't know, dude. I'm sure... I don't know, but it's just so funny seeing the complaint. It's like, you can have, obviously this isn't a perfect series, complain away, you know, you have your issues with it, but the contradictions and like the big conversations that are being had about Jujutsu,
at least be consistent in your criticism.
It's just funny to me. But
that's
what hilarious. A chapter though, holy shit, man. Kusakabe like value kind of like rose for me after this chapter. I mean, he was never really I was never really a part of the slander train of Kusakabe being a bitch or whatever that people were trying to say or whatever. I fucking have always loved Kusakabe. So I'm not trying to say that like he sucked and now he's good. He was already good for me and now he's like better. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love this chapter for Kusakabe, dude. He's a G. He's a realistic G. He doesn't make every single decision you want a cool character in Shonen to make. But like, he's still cool as fuck in a lot of areas. He just is that human. You know, that truly human character that we can kind of stick to in this like super macabre, and dark and shitty story that we're in right now.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right. Definitely for me, before this chapter, I probably would have been more towards the Kusakabe's a bitch, group or whatever. Like, I like him, I guess,
Yeah.
just fine or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I definitely think he could be cooler. But
Yeah.
I agree that this chapter did good on Kusakabe. You know what I mean? Like,
man.
I like him better now for sure.
And I want to know more about his sister and Takaru. Like, I want a little, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a little 0.5 chapter, you know what I mean, at some
Yes.
point in time, like a day in the life of Kusakabe and his family real quick, you know what I mean? Like, I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, bro. I'm sad I didn't see this dude's curse technique with the shinobi mask and the Macaulay Culkin haircut. I'm sad that I did. I'm sad. I wanted to see what he could do.
Oh my God.
He's standing on top of a fucking light post like a ninja, you know what I'm saying? So he's gotta be tight. But I'm sure we'll see him in the Cullen game or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For
I don't know.
sure.
That's all I had for Jujutsu Kaisen this week, though. I don't know if you had anything else.
Yeah, no, I think that was it for me as well. I mean, yeah, I think it was a very solid chapter personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was an incredible chapter personally.
Yeah.
But I think that it's one that is just like awkwardly placed at a time that came out of something high octane and going into something high octane.
Yes.
Expectations were like set, you know, like inside of what has kind of been escalating so far. And then you kind of get this. I could see how I could see how it could be jarring to people who kind of just go through the motions with Jujutsu Kaisen, but I feel like inside of the community, it's just understood that this is an amazing chapter. I don't really think like, you know, critical Jujutsu Kaisen like readers have any kind of issue with this, but
right.
We'll see. Sure. Let us know in the comments though, obviously.
Yeah.
But all right, you good?
Yeah.
All right, getting into Dr. Stone, chapter 194, Homo sapiens all alone.
Yeah.
Bruh.
This is pretty much exactly what I wanted to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I suppose last week I think I said like I'd like to see more with the little dog and the boar, right?
Yeah.
But like I wasn't really expecting to see much with those two. I just thought it would be cool to have like a chapter of them like running around script scrabbling, you know, trying to be like little dogs and boars and not knowing what the hell to do. But but having a Suika focused chapter and
dude,
probably a
so
Suika focused arc is going to be absolutely fantastic. But like starting off in the chapter here, we can see some time has passed, like a good amount of time.
Yeah, because there's foliage growing.
The foliage, moss growing over all these statues. You got farm animals just loose in the world, chewing grass and whatnot. Even on page 3, you know, with this Suika statue reaching up to the revival fluid, the grass is really growing as tall as she is. You know what I mean? So at least a few feet high.
Yeah, this is some time.
Yeah.
This is some real time.
So I love that it like is kind of establishing this time passing without just giving us a narration box. You know what I mean? Like exactly, 843 days have passed or whatever. It's like we can just show it. You know what I mean?
Yes, show not tell. And man, Boichi is the artist for chapters like these for real. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you want to convey a lot of what's happening in the art with not that much dialogue. Like half of this chapter is no dialogue. Or at least a good, beginning portion of it. And this art for it to tell the story of how much time has passed and Suika's awakening, it's just amazing visual storytelling just because of the level of detail. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow.
And as we're seeing this, beautiful scenery and this, as you say, environmental storytelling, we see, as Senku kind of predicted, right? Like he kind of said a couple chapters ago, like it might be a month or a year or something, but eventually a bird is going to go caw or thunder will strike or something, and something is going to trigger a noise big enough to reach the microphones that they've set up to trigger the sonic explosion that will break open the revival fluid bottle. And of course the first one we get is this jaguar page 3 hissing or whatever, and it freaks itself out or whatever, like oh fuck, what was that?
Animals
but then the lightning, that like the beautiful just like lightning strike, and then I love this panel on page 7 of this whole page, Suika breaking out, woo!
Yes, bro, I feel
fantastic
that, man.
art.
I feel that so hard in my like soul when Suika is free, and I know that like it's only 7 pages into the next chapter after she was petrified, but like I said, man, Boichi really makes you feel the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
In those first 6 pages. And Suika just has the best character design for close-ups, dude. I swear to God.
She's definitely a very, very cute.
Yeah.
Something I just realized paging through this as we're talking here, go back to page 3, right?
Okay.
That panel I was saying with, you can see the grass growing up around Suika's statue. And then go to page 5. The grasses have grown even more. If they had grown more, the revival fluid may never have hit her because it would have dripped over the leaves, you know what I mean? And not hit her ever. This was like the last month, the last week possible probably that this lightning bolt could have happened. Otherwise it would have dripped over the leaves and never hit her.
See, that's if you notice that, that's stakes.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Because it shows you just how close it came to just not
all
happening.
of humanity never ever waking up ever again, or maybe not, or at least for not like 5,000 years until Senku wakes up naturally. You know what I mean?
because then you have to think about it, right? They have put so much time and effort into reestablishing technology since Senku woke up. Yeah, and then sure, it's only been a couple years, so a lot of that technology is probably still good.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? But if you wait the full 3,700 years, it's over. Right. And you don't have Byakuya's bloodline being like, repopulating the stone world naturally.
Yep.
So you can't even Senku probably dies long before he can get back to even close to the level that he was after, in recruiting Kaseki and the rest of the the stone world born people, you know what I mean? Right. So that's huge stakes. That's an amazing spot. I did not catch that at all.
Good shit.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, like Suika wakes up and of course I think this is just perfect, right? Where the first thing she does is like, I need my glasses, you know what I mean? And I was really worried about that, honestly, like when she wakes back up, because not having your glasses, I don't know how in the world, she must have a very good internal map or kind of an internal sense of direction. Yeah. You know what I mean? To be able to, and I guess you can see a little bit, right? Could probably see some blurry shapes or whatever, but very impressive for her to, without glasses, with her, wrinkly granny face trying to squint of like, what the heck's going on, to find her glasses. Very impressive.
Well, she had to make do for all that time before Senku.
That's true. Yeah, she wasn't like completely blind. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was worrying to me. And another thing that's worrying she got little fragments of her glasses, so she's kind of cool, which is fine. Yeah. It's not like a complete, she's back to normal. But the fact that she doesn't know like any science really.
Yep.
Coupled with the fact that she does not have like all of her senses at 100%.
Right.
Is even more stakes for the situation, because now Riichiro, which I know he's going to knock out of the park, is going to have to make it make sense that Suika figures out the revival fluid on her own through intense contemplation, meditation, remembering shit deep down in the memory banks. Maybe it's not meditation, and maybe she just like goes and has experiences in nature that remind her of things that Senku have said. I don't know how, they're going to do it, or someone else is just going to have somehow escaped the petrification or so. I don't know. But that uncertainty is big too.
Definitely. Yeah. I do think we have a good clue of what she's going to do in this chapter. So basically, as the chapter progresses, and we can go back to this, beautiful scene of her kind of freaking the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm going to die. Yeah. And it's a very understandable fear. But she does figure out. I forget exactly where she says it. But she kind of says like, let's see here, page 17, I think. Yes, page 17, she says, Suika's got to find everyone's statues because maybe someone was carrying some fluid. Yeah. And we know that Luna and Chelsea do have a bag full of fluid. They only threw up. Remember that hilarious scene where Luna, like the Flash is coming at them, and they're like, "Oh shit! Like I guess we could try like Senku and throw a bottle in the air," and like she like throws it off the cliff, and it like totally botches it, and they're like, "Oh I guess we're dead." Yeah. I do. Remember they actually have a huge bag of fluid where they are, assuming it's still intact or whatever.
Right. Okay. I completely forgot about that. And I completely forgot about the line of dialogue in the chapter saying, I think people have revival fluid on them. So that's good. That's good. That's great.
But that is, of course, assuming that is the straightforward storytelling arc that we're going to get, right? There is always the possibility that Suika does over the course of say like a chapter or two, finds all of our friends in the jungle, and then does find Luna and Chelsea, and is like, well, they don't have any fluid either, and we'll see some like panel of a bag, an empty bag or a decayed bag, and a bunch of broken bottles or something,
Right.
And it's like, then you would know there is no more fluid, and she would have to somehow make it herself, which I think would be very difficult.
If they have a whole bag, weren't they up on like a cliff when they got petrified or something?
Yeah, I think so.
So they have a whole bag that could easily fall down onto people below them, potentially one of Stanley or Zeno's people, and create, a conflict in that way where Suika's alive and a random, Zeno goon is alive.
Yeah.
And then now they're kind of like fighting, but then they're like, wait a minute, let's come together, and kind of like revive all of our friends and then fight afterwards. But like we became really good friends in the meantime. So now that creates, the dynamic that potentially keeps it from becoming just the last arc all over again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I do think there's a definite few paths that the story could take from this point for sure.
Hell yeah. Wow.
Let's go back and talk about what I was saying earlier, like when Suika's alone, she's revived her, become arrived, and she's found her glasses, and now she's pretty stoked about the whole thing, but then she quickly realizes she is alone, and then like page 12-13, right? She's has this bottle of, I don't know, beef jerky or something. What do you think? Like this bottle of food is.
It looks like dried meat.
Yeah, like beef jerky, and then she's like, once this food is gone, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And I'm all alone.
Yeah.
And she's a little girl, right? I think it's very understandable for her to think these thoughts, and it's very scary.
Yeah.
Being in the jungle as like what is she, 6? I don't know. Like she's very young and she's in the jungle. But I'd be terrified.
Her being very young and expressing her anxiety and her fear the way that she is, even though she is very young compared to the rest of the cast, I feel like all of them and the way that they feel about this situation, even though they're just vegetables and we're not really getting anything on them. Yeah. I feel like they're all living vicariously through Suika's reaction to waking up alone. You know what I mean? Yes. She's very young and naive and isn't as smart as Senkun. We're not going to get the kind of internal monologues that Ryusui or an older character would have, but I can feel the entire cast inside of Suika in these scenes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And obviously it helps that we're getting flashbacks of a lot of them too. But I think that Riichiro Nagaki and Boichi did an incredible job of having this be a Suika-centric chapter while also having the entire cast feel like they're there at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally agree. Especially as Suika, in the midst of her despair on 14-15, then kind of like snaps out of it, thinking that Senku literally went through this exact same situation as her. He was the first one who was revived. She was the first one who was revived. Yep. And I love what she says on page 16. Senku was also alone, all alone from the start. Yeah. He didn't even know if anyone else could wake up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But I do.
But I do. So I should be brave. I can do this. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like, I love you, Suika.
I love it. I love Suika. And you see it even too on page 17 with everyone behind her. You could tell that as soon as she starts thinking about Senku and what he did last time, she's like, okay, well, what would Senku do? How would Senku react? How would Senku behave? What would Ryusui do? What would Francois do? What would Shishio do? And you have the whole gang right there in statue form. You got this, Suika, and it's like, oh my god,
Tsukasa there with the thumbs up. Yes. I feel like they're sending her off. Like we have entrusted our hopes, our dreams, the future of humanity to you, Suika, and we believe in you. You know what I mean? Like just go out and do us proud, and she will. You know what I mean? Oh, it's so wonderful.
Like this is just like an area of Dr. Stone I did not think that we would ever go into.
Yes,
like this is such an unexpected turn of events. And with Suika as the main character tasked with saving everybody, it's like who would have possibly predicted that we would be in this situation right now? Right. And it feels so good. You know what I mean? And it's like this genius duo here is really, I never thought that, like, as much as I love Dr. Stone, I always felt like it had its own lane and it was doing everything appropriately inside of it, but that it just wasn't at the level to where it would be as compelling,
or engaging as like, Hero or One Piece or Jujutsu Kaisen or something, right?
But here we go. They said, fuck the bullshit. Dr. Stone ain't just going to be the nerdy science shit that fucking, physics graduates fucking read and shit. Like, nah, son, this is this is in Jump. It's a Jump,
Yep.
pillar trying to be a contender. It's up there with everything else. You know what I mean? And
if anything, like of all the titles in Jump right now, I feel like Dr. Stone would be the most easy to make into a movie. You know what I mean? Like a movie Americans would watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
because it's got the cool sci-fi stuff, the cool fantasy stuff, a isekai type. Like you're in the future, like
that
a
whimsical
magical
element where you don't. Yeah. That'd be sick.
Very good.
I would actually like heavily fuck with that because there's no like and it's just easier when it's anime that doesn't have magic or like a power system or something that you have to it's easier to suspend disbelief when you're looking at drawings or animation because it's so much easier to make that shit look cool no matter what the fuck you're doing. But with humans, you can't just copy and paste the same techniques from animation to live action. So you have to find a way to, in live action form, make the phenomenon look just as cool, which a lot of people don't know how to fucking do. You know what I mean?
Very difficult.
And you think about it inside of anime, you know what I mean? There's a lot of dramatic zooms and there's a lot of dramatic close-ups, and a lot of that relies on the actual aesthetic of anime character designs. Like if you zoom in on a regular human face the way that you do it in fucking Ghost in the Shell, people aren't that fucking pretty, bro. Like I don't give a fuck if you're Scarlett Johansson. It's not the same Kusanagi. You can't go in that close. You know what I mean? So it's shit like that, but Dr. Stone is definitely one that I think would translate very well. That's a great idea, dude.
For sure. And then like we wrap up the chapter with Suika has made herself a little, a fort on the top of the tower.
Yeah.
She's got a cool new look with her kind of her pumpkin head helmet or whatever now is like kind of a bifocals glasses around her.
Yeah, like a fucking
neck.
like turtleneck type.
Like a turtleneck with like glasses. Yeah.
That's
like
so
looks pretty sick.
Yes.
And like she's got food. She's like pretty happy. And then this exact kind of same scene that Senku went through, right? Where I think Senku encountered a bunch of like, I don't know, they were monkeys, but not the same kind of monkeys, obviously Japanese monkeys.
Right.
And he was like, "Hey, what's up? You probably don't know who I am, huh?
Yeah.
Homo sapiens, bitch, get out of here." And then she's like, and Suika's a human, like it's like I love the parallels. Just like it's I loved this chapter, like front to back. Yeah.
Yeah, and Suika, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, man, it's like Suika's eventually going to grow up to be like Senku 2.0, I feel like, by the end of the fucking chapter, because it's like, she is very young, you know what I mean? And she has to kind of grow up right next to Senku, who's already this genius. A lot of the other older characters have already kind of established their talents, you know what I mean? And there's probably not enough hard drive space to be a Senku, you know what I mean? But Suika is like
maybe
5.
Chrome. Yeah,
maybe Chrome at best. But Suika is like literally like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is like her brain's most formative, you know what I mean, years or whatever, or close to it, you know what I mean? So if she is the one that's woken up first and she kind of has to go through the motions, and we're drawing these parallels to Senku, I feel like she's going to figure out a lot of physics on her own, you know what I mean, until everyone else is revived, and have an incredible foundation for just attaching herself to Senku's hip for the rest of her adolescent life until we get the time skip and she's like super crazy assistant doctor extraordinaire or scientist extraordinaire, you know what I mean? And it's like, I would love to see that end of or culmination of Suika's character arc end in that kind of way.
Right. I do feel like though it is heavily dependent on the next few chapters, you know what I mean? And not even so much the next few chapters, but as much as how the timeline progresses from here, right? Because yes, if Suika has a good luck and a good plan and finds all the statues and the revival fluid, say within like a year or two, that's one thing. And I totally agree. At that point, she would revive everyone and very much
have a great foundation of science,
a good foundation to become Senku's kind of assistant and eventually a scientist, once we get another like 10-year time skip. But if she has difficulty in finding everyone, or if she needs to make the revival fluid herself, we actually might have a time skip of only Suika, where Suika is like, all right, I can't find any fluid. I'm going to need to learn science myself and make the fluid myself. She might focus more on like, I don't know, like a survivalist, because she'd be alone for like, say, 10 years. And I feel like after like 10 years of being alone, it'd probably be now your job is survivalist. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
But who knows? I think I'd much prefer, especially seeing her on page 18 with like this kind of like turtleneck glasses set up.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cute as for like a future scientist, you know what I mean? Like her having some cool, glasses, gear,
Yes.
I think it'd be cool. So,
Oh, man, there's so many. It's so crazy how Riichiro can go from there just being so much uncertainty. We have no idea what's going to happen here at all. Everyone's dying. Is this the end of Dr. Stone? Oh my God. To now it being, holy shit, there's so many possibilities and new avenues that we can go on in a positive direction.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like born from that. And it's like
so
crazy how it kind of developed, and going back to the unpredictability of the series that I feel like makes it, just as much of a contender as anything else in the magazine. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is fucking prime time shit, man.
Yeah.
And it's like not even action.
Yeah.
In an action, like we just came out of crazy action, sure, but I mean, like, that's never what fucking Dr. Stone's been about.
Right.
God damn. Yeah, man, I don't know. Did you have anything else for Dr. Stone?
No. I think we covered pretty much everything. It was good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a lot of the chapter that had no dialogue in it, so there wasn't a whole lot of meat and potatoes to unpack.
Right.
But great conversation, bro.
Hell yeah.
All right, getting into Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 60, Mash Burn Dead, and the Sinful Change. Ooh.
Yo.
This chapter.
So good.
Wow, man. So unexpected in like so many ways. Like I was not ready for Margaret to have this form at all.
Yes.
This
absolutely.
is good. This is so good. Wow. And I love how I feel like there's a lot of world building going on in this chapter, specifically through what Margaret is capable of.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. We've never seen magic like this. This doesn't like normally I feel like if we were going to get a magic like this would be the magic. You know what I mean? Like this seems to be like, I don't know, like this isn't, I don't know. Margaret has such a big arsenal, it feels like, and this is just one area of it. Whereas all the other magic users that we've kind of seen have that big trump card obviously there, and then whatever their basic training magic is that they decide to use or not use in any given situation, but it's really just the main magic that we see. And that primary application of it. But this is like some other shit, and it makes sense with the explanation that we get with it being, like Margaret has literally in this form just become sound essentially. That's tight, but like it doesn't explain the form.
No,
you know what I mean? So it's like,
why did he get younger?
Yeah, like what is really going on here? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this is crazy shit.
But like this potentially opens up other characters to do the same thing, right? Like, say, like the headmaster, who's like an old Dumbledore type. Can he get younger and unlock like his quote unquote true magic? You know what I mean? Certainly the lack of explanation of why Margaret is younger, and why that involves unlocking the full potential of his magic.
Right.
His full access to his true magic power, right? Like, not explained, so that definitely opens up a lot of doors for other characters to do similar things for sure.
Right. But I love the fight. The fight is fucking beautiful, and I love how something I don't know if we've ever touched on this show, but Mash's combat IQ on the fly inside of fights is something that I feel like is executed beautifully, because we don't get internal monologues from Mash really, like in combat. It's very show. You know what I mean? So like he'll just do the thing, and then someone
else will be like, yo, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Someone else has to come in and explain what's going on. But then also at the same time, while it's happening on the page, it gives us a lot, since there's no internal monologue telling us what Mash was thinking and how he did what he did, until it is explained by Finn or some other spectator. We kind of have to sit there and go like, okay, how did he do that then? You know what I mean? And for a couple minutes until we get that dialogue, we got to go like, okay, can I see what happened? You know what I mean? It's just fun. You know what I mean? Like that's super fun. And I saw a complaint on the timeline that Mash never struggles. You know what I mean? And that is, people thought that this would be a good opportunity for Mash to actually get his ass whooped for real, or at least struggle more than we've ever seen him struggle before. And yes, it ends on a very triumphant cliffhanger, you know what I mean, for Mash with this drastic ass clothesline. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I feel like we're 60 chapters in, and you should just understand that that's not a detriment to the series. Mash not struggling is okay, because there's so much uncertainty inside of his fighting style. You don't know how he's going to conclude these fights. You don't know how he's going to get out of the pinches that he finds himself in, because he doesn't have a dedicated moveset inside of a kit like fucking Hunter x Hunter or something. You know what I mean? It's he can literally just do any physical feat at any time and have the results dialed up to 999,999 because he's a physical behemoth, and it's gonna feel great. You know what I mean? That uncertainty in knowing what he's going to do next is what makes it okay that he never struggles, in my opinion.
Yes. Even comparing him to Saitama, One Punch Man, right? Saitama always wins
with the
fist. With punching someone into oblivion, right? And yes, sometimes, oh wow, that punch didn't work, and I have to punch you harder, or whatever, right?
Or just again,
or more, or whatever, right? But it's always the same. And yes, One Punch Man is more gaggy, maybe, than Mashle, but not much more. I mean, Mashle is a funny, it's a comedy, right? And so I totally agree with what you're saying, that like
One Punch Man,
there's so many ways Mashle does what he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in One Punch Man, like you have that aspect of the storytelling inside of inside of Saitama winning everything with a punch. You supplement that with the beautiful side characters that One Punch Man has. You know what I mean? So it makes it okay, because Saitama's usually not there on time because he's trying to get to a sale or some other quirky character flaw that's funny, but also works for the stakes, because now other people besides Saitama have to get their ass kicked for X amount of time. You know what I mean? And then when he finally does pull up and do something, we've gotten a bunch of brilliant development and progression in the other side of the cast, and it's okay. MASH isn't really there on the side cast yet. You know what I mean? But it's still okay, like we were saying, because his moveset is so unpredictable. You don't know how he's going to get out of the situations that he's in until he does. It is impossible to predict what physical feat MASH will use at any time, because it's way too broad of a topic. Or
And if anything, I would say MASH even rarely uses the same attack twice.
Exactly. Yes, he never does.
We've gotten obviously a lot of punches and a lot of the primary lotus. You know, maybe that's happened like 2 or 3 times or whatever, of, you know, doing like the grab and the spin into the ground body slam or whatever.
You got to establish staples. You gotta have something to wait for.
Exactly. But like, are we ever going to see him make his iron wand into a tennis racket? Probably not ever, right? We'll probably never see it again. And that's part of what makes Mashle so funny and badass at the same time, that like you get to see him do these very unique, like when he did breakdancing to make the vortex of air go into the balloon.
I will literally call anyone a liar to their face, looking directly in their eyes, if they say they predicted that. You know what I mean? It's like, you just can't. You never know, like, because Komoto is sitting here thinking, okay, this is just breakdancing. But what if it was like, you know, super crazy, like Yakuza video game or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure level exaggeration inside of this? What would the effect be? Oh, a tornado. I can make that make sense. You know what I mean? Like, that's only the author can think of that, you know, because it's his fucking story. We'll never be able to know what the effects of a exaggerated physical feat will look like inside of Mashle, and that's how he wins his fights and gets through, you know, his obstacles. So that alone makes me so confident for the future. Remember when we first started reviewing Mashle, and we were talking about how, you know, how long can it ride on this gag? You know what I mean? We were like, how long is this going to be cool? You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh wait, now we know that the formula is just infinite possibilities. So we have nothing to fucking, like, this can be funny forever. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
But then
definitely that has been established for sure.
Inside of the technical application of what MASH is doing in this fight, of like his like the technical diagrams and shit that we see, like where he made use of the properties of sound. Sound travels faster through liquids and gases. You know I love my diagrams, bro. Gas, liquid, solid, the paneling with the face and showing the distances leading up to this dude, the Sword Kane's face. You know what I mean? Like all that shit, bro. And then the second diagram after the MASH slapping the wall panel. It's just like, yes, this is what you have to add to MASH's explanations. You know what I mean? And that is the perfect way to cut into that gaggy atmosphere with hardcore technical diagrams and explanations for the physical things that are happening on the page.
Yes.
It's like, it's just the perfect balance of just decision making, period.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The composition of how the fucking drawing flows throughout the action, and on top of the explanations being perfectly injected where they need to be. Man, who would have thought that MASH would be where it's at right now from chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You know what I mean?
Right.
This is ridiculous.
Just amazing. And then, you know, in terms of like the gaggy aspect, right? Like, I totally agree with you. I love the diagrams and whatever, and very technical nature of the battle. But I love that, like, one page after these diagrams on page 17, then we go to, not only did he, know the properties of sound and use it to his advantage, he also used some tartar sauce tech, you know what I mean? And must have reached into homie's pocket, pulled out that tartar sauce, disgusting, put the tartar sauce on his hand so that when he tries to snap, it's like, bleh.
Yes. It's funny, and it makes sense strategically.
Yes.
Come on, Komoto.
AKA Mashle.
Come on.
Funny, but also makes sense strategically.
Yes, that's the fucking flavor text.
Yes. Oh, man.
Oh, I love it. But, dude, I got chills when it was like, I am sound. Because he's trying to explain it to him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's like, huh? He's gone? Over here? All the way up there? As I was trying to say, right now, I'm sound itself. And obviously, it comes out of him trying to talk to Mash about it. And Mash is thinking it's funny that he looks like a baby and he's using the pinky X. You know what I mean? So it interrupts his... his kind of his monologue there, but like it's just like so lit how you get so much of his action before you get the actual explanation of what it's doing. And it just makes that moment, I am sound itself, slap so hard to me. Yep. You're a muscle type like me? Hell no. I'm literally creating sound and then traveling on the waves that I just created. Yep. Like it's not muscles, fam. It's
just speed.
So
it's it's amazing. Some great I love the comedy on page 8-9 where like Margaret zooms up right, the first thing he does, right, zooms right up to Mash and blows in his ear, and like gets him to be like, and like fall to the ground, and Lemon's like, no. So good. Oh my god. Guess Mash's ears are his weak point.
Yo, what if that is like a real thing though? Like, what if that is like where you attack Mash?
That would be hilarious. I think weak point in this sense, because of the Lemon panel, absolutely. Weak point is meant to be like a sexual weak point, right? Like he's like feeling something, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, though,
that'd be straight Mashle. That'd be perfect Mashle, humor to like actually make it a serious aspect of the battle system. You know what I mean?
Think about it. Like a lot of it, like isn't a lot of your balance have to do with your ears? And I mean, like Mash is a very kinetic, physical fighter. His balance has a lot to do with why he can do what he can do.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So if you target his equilibrium in that way, that could be a legitimate detriment to his fighting style.
100%.
Fuck yeah.
I think the only other thing that we've not talked about in this chapter is at the very beginning, at the Bureau of Magic, and we've got the Sand Cane just in his office doing whatever divine visionary stuff, and you got this homie coming in, big trouble, Innocent Zero's here on the move again, and it's like, oh yeah, like one of the higher ups or whatever, I mean, go have someone take care of it. And it's like, no, it's Innocent Zero
himself or themself,
and like I love his response, like, well, that's not good.
I love those butler types that like always have to respond, I don't know, fucking butlery. You know what I mean? No matter what the situation is, it's always like an Alfred ass response, like, oh dear, or like a Jarvis, oh my.
Oh man,
fuck yeah. Holy shit, man. And the art, dude, I just want to talk about the art again, because I don't think we've like actually like honed in on the art of Mashle in this chapter, but like inside of the choreography, inside of the fight and whatnot, the after images and the movement, and obviously this is things that we never have to complain about inside of Mashle, but this last double spread, I don't know how often it is maybe it's every time Mash gets a cliffhanger double spread where he does some drastic physical attack to someone, but I can't remember the last time that he just had solid white, angry, pissed eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now that I think about it, I feel like
It happens
we
occasionally.
do get it like every time we get a drastic double spread like this. But I just remember turning this page and being like, oh.
Yeah. No, when
Ash
he is
serious.
drawn that way,
Yeah.
when he is drawn that way, it always, every single time, looks so badass.
Yeah,
like, ooh.
absolutely. But I think, dude, this Margaret form though is really tripping me up because it's like it plays, I think, again into like that androgynous aspect of like characters like Hisoka, and obviously what Margaret is going for, that you have your more masculine, swoller body, buzzed haircut,
right,
slimmer, a little bit less masculine form, long hair, clearly looks a lot more like a woman. You know what I mean? And I just appreciate the shit out of that. Because I love characters like that because they're always so fun. You know what I mean? And it's just cool to get like that kind of atmosphere in in an area of fiction that is known for not really catering to it all that much.
Yes, yes. Shonen being very masculine generally. And it's good to, spice that up a bit with some femininity. But for Margaret in particular, I feel like Margaret already looked pretty androgynous, right? Obviously Margaret was very swole and big, right? But the buzzed hair and the lipstick and his general demeanor, very androgynous. You know what I mean? And this is just going even deeper. It's like, oh damn, I didn't know you could get hotter. Okay, fine. All right then.
Dude, I just like Margaret is my favorite character in Mashle. And I hope that
besides MASH, I would totally agree with you.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those series where you have to say besides MASH.
Besides, exactly.
But like Margaret is like a situation that I didn't think that we were going to see in Mashle, at least not this early. You know what I mean? Like it always seemed like, given the very One Punch Man kind of satirical nature of the monster of the week, I show up, I'm strong, I talk my shit, I beat up some lower level dudes, and then MASH comes and knocks me out, all in the same kind of stretch of storytelling. I thought that was going to be that for a lot longer. I'm surprised at how much deeper it got as quickly as it got there. But also, like, Margaret as a character, I thought was something that an author in a series like this would want to save for like much later, because it's like finally breaking away from that, One Punch Man kind of mold, and you want it to be a big deal like this at that point. But Mashle's never actually had that problem. It's been deep from the beginning, and it's just, I feel like it's just hard to notice because you don't know exactly what it's trying to do, and you think you know what it's trying to do. You know what I mean? So
yep.
I'm just so here. I might make a fucking Margaret layout eventually, depending on how the rest of this fucking fight goes. I might be Margaret on Twitter for a little bit. But
you're in it for the rush. For that tartar sauce.
And the tartar, dude. I do fuck with tartar sauce heavy as hell. Like I love, and I be extra dunking my fish and chips in that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I resonate with Buddy a little bit. In that
definitely.
regard. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm good on Mashle though, dude. This was an incredible chapter. Did you have anything else?
No, that's all I had as well. Great chapter.
Yeah, good shit, man. All right, getting into Black Clover, chapter 291, a duel with a distant inferior.
Yeah.
Oh,
little foreshadowing to the latter half of this chapter.
Absolutely. Kind of disappointed that the demon died from that redirection of the ball slap at the end of the last chapter, but I mean, it's just the.
But it was also slashes, right? It was also sword slashes too.
I think. Oh, was it? Sure.
Yeah, because there's the ball, and then Asta like slashed through the ball.
Right. That's
yeah.
That's right. I thought it was.
And then at the very end, even did like one slash up and down, one slash left to right.
Left to right.
Really obliterated him for sure.
Thank you, because I thought it was literally just the ball coming back at them, and I was like, really? But thank you.
No,
yeah.
Yeah. If the demon given that, if the devil did not die, I would have been like, are you fucking kidding? Or really? No. So okay, Tabata, okay. You
sure,
definitely killed that guy.
I guess we didn't need the fight to go on like any longer. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I wasn't here last week, and I like only read Black Clover like once in scan form.
Right.
So
sure.
So I didn't like really have to like sit and like think about it for too much time. So I forgot about that. But thank you for reminding me on that. But I love this. I loved this chapter. It obviously, especially for the very for the end with the Magnus stuff. I thought that was fucking beautiful. And inside of like, do you just want to talk about like the spell?
Yeah, should we just jump right ahead?
Yeah, I really just want to talk about the spell because like this is something that I feel like I've been waiting for a long time inside of Black Clover, is a spell that felt like more than just, you know, well wishing and finger crossing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like the depth that we have on this and I know that there have been other, you know, techniques inside of of Black Clover that have had, you know, a good amount of exposition tied to them. But this, I think, kind of like you were saying in our group chat a little bit, or it feels a little bit like a Nen technique.
This would definitely be a Nen technique. Yeah. Easily a Nen technique.
It's tight. It's so tight.
Yes. I do think it is really tight, and the art of it, and Magna's, you know, personality and the execution is it's very, very good. It's so solid. It's very hype.
Yeah.
I definitely the fact that it does feel so much like a Nen ability
is very worrying, because you don't know if Tabata is going to deliver the appropriate exposition for it.
Right. Yeah. And like, or even without the exposition, even the ability itself, it's so different than everything else, than every other ability. You know what I mean? Right. The only other things I can think of that are even similar to this are like the Scales guy.
Yep.
Okay, the Scales guy, that's definitely some very similar magic. Yep. The fact that some characters can like use their ability to make a 3-dimensional map of the area, like that's definitely most of the abilities, as you were kind of hinting at, right, are I'm going to make a big ball of element and I'm going to throw it at you. Yeah. Or I'm going to make a sword out of the element and I'm going to hit you with it. Yeah. Or I'm going to surround myself with the element and be impervious or beat you to death or whatever, right? Like it's very much physical abilities. I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to direct it at you and hit you with it and it hurts or whatever, right? But this is like a technical ability with rules and power levels and conditions and stuff. So
And it feels awesome. And one thing that I've always appreciated about Magna's character, because I feel like the fire characters we're kind of like inundated with those, you know what I mean? Like there's always a fire character, and they all kind of exist inside of the same realm of capabilities. When it comes to fire, it's very easy to do fire. But when you take a fire character and you give fire abilities to a character that has like a delinquent persona in a series where your abilities manifest based on your personality, now you have amazing applications of this trite ability, or this trite magical affinity that we see all the time. And you see it in the form of baseball bats. Pow! You see it in the form of brass knuckles. Poof! You see it like in the form of fastballs and shit. Like it just feels so good on like a Yusuke or like a a delinquent character. Like Magna, you know what I mean? So I love Tabata for how he's able to bring Magna back after so long, because we were thinking about it like, what is Magna even going to do when he comes back? You know what I mean? Like this motherfucker has been very underwhelming the entire series, and now Tabata's gonna bring him back and just make him super OP for free, or make him underwhelming again. We had all kinds of fucking thoughts about how this was going to go, and I feel like we make the complaint on this show a lot when we're talking about Black Clover, about how we come up with all of these really cool ideas on where the story could go and all of these different possibilities and what would be raw and what would be just so tight to see, just for the actual reveal or the actual culmination of that plot point to be something really standard or something underwhelming. But this is a very, very, very strong example of a time where we thought nothing tight could come from this, or 100%. If it was tight, it would feel unearned and superfluous. Now it just feels amazing, and he shat on all of our you know what I mean? Like, you know how we talk about it with One Piece? It's like, no matter what you think you can predict about One Piece, Oda will do something better. You could say that about like a lot of mangaka, I feel like, but Tabata just isn't someone that I personally can put up there with mangaka like that. But this moment right here really humbled me. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This definitely is what I've been waiting for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I assumed that it would be, as you said, like he was going to get some big fireball attack, and either he'd be super weak and it'd be like, haha, yeah, I guess Magna's just the weak guy, or it'd be like, damn, like, okay, that fireball did a lot more damage than everyone else's fireballs for some reason, just because you willed it to be so or whatever. But I mean, like, and this is a case where very much Tabata exceeded my expectations, like hundreds of times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is so sick of an ability. And now like talk more about the ability, right? Let's go to page 1415.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the chain hitting Dante, right? That's runes. Runes is rules. You know what I mean? So like it even has the potential to make sense. You know what I mean? Like
I think they said Magna couldn't use arrays though.
But he's been learning them. You know what I mean? Like they must have on this like 3 days or whatever. He's been really training super hard to learn them. Obviously, it's possible for people to learn them, right? So like, he was turned away by what's his name, Naga or whatever. He was turned away and like said like, you're just not good enough. Like, too bad.
That's why I think this is a team
attack. Up.
That's why I legitimately think this is a team attack. And we were talking about it. The most I've ever discussed Black Clover in our Discord ever
was
for this chapter, you know what I mean? And we had a really good conversation in there, and I think the consensus was that this is a team attack between Magna and Zora, because as obviously these chains are on fire and everything is on fire, so you want to attribute it all to Magna, right? But this ability just like doesn't make sense right now for what we know he's capable of, even if you add like what we know about runes. I feel like, because runes kind of just amplify your shit in like different ways. I don't remember any time that arrays or runes placed different kinds of conditions on existing abilities or added a bunch of layers of depth like this to this degree.
To this degree, I feel like this is special in some way. But like generally, runes, they just give your magic rules, right? Like be in this shape, do this thing, like go to this place.
Which essentially can be considered amplifiers, kind of, because no, I guess they are just rules, just flat out rules. Go in a certain direction, take a certain shape. Absolutely. But it's still not like conditional leverage in this regard. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is tight, and it feels like it could have a hint of trap magic applied to it, because obviously this is very flamey. You can assume these chains are hot. Obviously his brass knuckles are hot. Obviously it's linked to the heart, which is, I don't know. You can make a lot of things that attribute that link back to fire in some kind of way. I don't know. Hearts are courage. Courage is fiery. Whatever the fuck.
Right. Or spirit. Say. Spirit in ancient Greek maybe was thought of as a fiery type thing, right? Like I don't know. Like
and actually, I think Kiko was saying in our group chat that this is kind of like a Greek or Olympian lore reference to Zeus in
something about Prometheus or something.
Kind of, Prometheus situation where he like their hearts were linked and they had to duke it out, like knife edge, death match type shit inside of Yu Yu Hakusho and the Dark Tournament or whatever he was talking about. But still, at the end of the day, this feels like a trap.
The chain aspect. I feel like definitely
feels like a trap.
Now I will say I do think there is one argument I would give in this chapter why it isn't a team attack, and that would be on page 11, where this is during the flashback where Magna's trying to learn this, right? And Zora says in this middle panel, that spell is not complete yet, right? That I think would be a word I would use to be like yours, right? Like the thing you are trying to do, that isn't complete yet. And if it was a team attack, it would be like the spell isn't complete yet, or it isn't complete yet. Of course, that's a translation thing, right? Sure. And he could be talking about a totally different spell. He could be talking about not even this spell.
About a totally different spell, but also that spell could still be talking about that spell that we have.
Yes, 100%.
And at the end of the day, I actually made an argument in the Discord about how weird it felt that Magna said, "I'm gonna beat your ass myself." And then go directly into a team attack with Zora felt very weird to me. And then we had the conversation, and Yusuke and Magnus and a couple other people, I can't remember exactly who was involved. I think Yato was there too.
Sure.
We're talking, I think it actually was specifically Yato who said, yes, I understand what you mean. It definitely feels very soft of Magna to make such a confident, exclamation just to need help like directly afterwards. But he said something so cool about how shisty Zora is and how fucking Magna is this delinquent character, and they could be totally just fronting to kind of distract Dante and lead him into a false sense of security and make you think that just Magna is coming at you with this low mana pool.
Right.
But really, it's been a team attack brewing in the background, and Zora hasn't really said shit, hasn't confirmed or denied anything, and he's cooking up his half of this trap spell or something like that. You know what I mean?
Definitely 100%, as Dante said, and as Zora and Magna I think would agree, right? Like the game is skewed. It's unfair, skewed towards Dante, right? Dante has this 100% devil contract, one of the strongest devils. He's clearly very, very, very strong, way out of their league.
Right.
They do need to resort to treachery.
Exactly.
Resort to treachery.
Yes.
So I think it makes total sense for part of the treachery to be, I'm going to say, I am attacking you by myself. Don't worry about that guy behind me. I mean, I don't know why he's here. Why is he even here? I mean, he can leave if he wants to, but I'm attacking you. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
This is just a fire attack from me to you. And nothing trap about this. It's not a trap.
And then Dante's sitting there going, all right, well, let's see what you got, because your mana pool tells me that you're weak as shit. Right. Oh, random ass fireball to the chest. I ate that shit. Body magic. Now what, bro? Whoops. Yeah. It was actually a team attack the entire time. I think that would be super cool. I think that
Yato would be very cool.
Killed the game on that idea, and I would very much so like to see that. You know what I mean? And another question that I have now, I'm not a math guy, but I brought this up, and maybe you're better with numbers than me, or maybe I just am way off. But Dante's 100% is Dante's. Right?
Yeah.
Now, depending on the gap in Dante and Magna's strength, he could have even less than 50% power. Because if you're taking his entire mana pool, combining it with Magna's entire mana pool, and then splitting it evenly amongst the two, couldn't that possibly mean that he's at less than even 50% of his original power?
No.
Okay,
because like it'd be like 50 for Dante, 50 for Magna, and then Magna, you take his magic, 50 for him, 50 for Dante.
Yeah.
So Dante definitely has at least 50, and then half of Magna's.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I don't even know why that was
numbers.
Like something that I like.
This ain't Project Math.
Yeah. I don't even know like why like that thought came up, but like for some reason I just thought about the difference in their strength and thought maybe this motherfucker is way weaker than we think he is right now.
Magna?
No, Dante. Yeah, because
but the reason you think that is because Magna is maybe way weaker than we even believe him to be.
Right, sure.
So then you think like, okay, he's so weak that it'll make Dante
taking away
even
from
weaker.
His total. Yeah.
Right.
Or
no,
whatever.
But no, just 50 basically for both of them.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. That's fine. But man, I really hope that Tabata goes back into this technique and gives us just more than this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm sure, you know, I want to say that he will. History, you know, kind of like says that this is probably going to be the best that we get on it. But I have like really high hopes for the first time, and really like seeing this technique makes me go like, where have techniques like this been the entire time? Like this is like when Black Clover started, and I saw, you know, how creative Tabata was with magic. And considering the history of magic stories and just assuming Tabata wanted to take what's already kind of been done and spin it in a way that we've like kind of never seen before, I had all kinds of expectations. I thought that we would be seeing literal Nen magic inside of Black Clover when it was really early. You know what I mean? And I thought we would be seeing techniques like this secret flame magic soul death chain inside of the explanation that we get. I thought that was going to be Tabata's thing on how he really, really established himself as a premier magic story, you know what I mean? Right. And it's kind of it was kind of disappointing to end, you know, to find out that it ended up just being like giant clashes of mana pools eventually. But like seeing it come back to this and knowing that we've had like arrays kind of like cooking up in the background throughout this entire arc, it does feel late to me. But if the story is going to continue and Tabata has like this grandiose plan for an arc that's going to somehow top this in scale afterwards, I would love to see more abilities manifest in this way with you know, conditional leverage and rules and all of this depth. Now that the arrays have officially and the runes have kind of been officially established from this arc. Now we
Right.
can move into like way more technical applications of this magic for the last however long of the story. And I feel like I would just love the shit out of that inside of Black
Yes.
Clover. You know what I mean?
I would definitely love it.
I'm just not gonna hold my breath for you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get a whole breath. But what I do want from this ability is a downside.
Yes.
Because currently this is a very, very, very overpowered ability.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, to be specific, I guess, or like to be fair, Magna and Dante are equal right now, right? So in that sense, you could say that it's like it's fair as it is, because like Magna still has to win. He still has to fight with his current power level, and Dante has just the same power level, and he has different moves and different abilities that he could use to fight back. It isn't like this is a straight win, but the fact that someone as weak as Magna can square up against a supreme devil contract user, that seems very overpowered, and I would like to believe that there's some detriment here. You know what I mean? Like the fact that their hearts are linked. Maybe Magna takes damage from his attacks to Dante or something, right? Or he takes more damage than normal, or I don't know. Like
some
I
kind
just
of
hope
cool
something.
caveat like that would be really major for this. And I was talking about it even in the I was talking even about this point in the Discord with everybody.
Oh, sure.
About how what I was basically saying is that this feels like a like game winning advantage, you know what I mean? And obviously we see Magna, you know, in a very advantageous position at the end of this chapter. Even if Tabata decides to shift the tide back in Dante's favor one more time, it's like I still think that he's going to be defeated, and when he is, it's going to tie back to this technique. Whether it's, I don't know exactly how it's going to end. I don't think it's going to be a big Magna attack to destroy Dante. I don't know. I think that it's going to be a little bit more teamwork involved there. Maybe Jack gets involved again. Who knows? But I think that when it comes down to it, even if Dante gets one more big power boost and looks like he's going to win again one more time, eventually he'll be taken down, and it will be because of this technique. And I think that is really all the caveat that needs to be there. Even if he doesn't have, you know, a huge detriment additionally for like just attached to this right now, I think that it could come from the fact that he's still not capable on his own to defeat Dante, even though the playing field is kind of even here. Because Dante he has hands. Like we saw him. We saw him beat the shit out of Asta with just fists. You know what I mean?
And two types of magic. He has body magic and gravity magic. So like that's definitely going to be in his favor.
Yeah, because so you don't want to say that Magna just wins here because he's a better hand-to-hand fighter because he's delinquent and Dante relies on his magic too much or something like that. You can't say that. Dante swings on you too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Man, I mean, I guess I don't want it to be so serious, but I would even be okay with the caveat that if Dante dies here, Magna dies.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like tie their lives together. It's a chain from the heart to the heart. Heart's very important for your body to work, right?
Is.
Because another thing about how OP this ability is, right?
Yeah.
Jack has been holding his own in this battle against 100% Dante. Able to cut through gravity, able to cut him, but not damage him fully because he can regenerate because of his body magic. At 50%, Jack should be able to just come in here and finish him off.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but Jack is like...
But he's very fucked up. He's very much injured, so maybe now it's too late. But I need some reason, like, why can't someone now just step in and just take out Dante?
Yeah, easily.
You know? Even Jack, just using an attack that he's been using this whole time, even if he's injured. Like,
he's still got at least
ultra,
one more in him.
Yeah. So, but if it was their lives are actually tied together, you know what I mean, in some way, that'd be pretty major for the condition on the ability.
That would be, honestly, and really, when it comes to caveats, I really want that to be the one, because then that forces, you know, Tabata to kind of bring this conclusion to the end in a way that we kind of haven't seen before. And I don't know if that ends up being talk no jutsu, or if that ends up, I don't know. Like, this is his, like, if that is the situation, then that would be his time to shine, to show us how conflicts can be resolved in Black Clover without surpass your limits love by mana shit happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I would love to see that. I mean, we have an amazing setup for it inside of this new ability that feels deeper than a lot of other ones in the story. So this is your foundation, bro. Let's see what you do. And I'm not saying that this is exactly what Tabata needs to do. This is obviously speculation on our part. You know what I mean? At this point still.
Oh,
But
yeah.
just based on this conversation, if it does go that route, I'm very excited to see how Tabata handles it.
For sure.
I'm
for
excited
sure.
to see how he handles it in general. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm not
Oh, yeah.
too optimistic. You know what I mean? But this is this might be the best I've ever felt in Black Clover.
Sure.
Or the best I've ever felt about Black Clover. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Fuck yeah.
We definitely got to go back though to
Yeah.
Before this ability was introduced.
Yes.
Got some good stuff between Noct and Asta that we should talk about. First off, go to page 2, top panel of page 2. Look at the smile on this
yeah.
boy. Look at that smile. Come on, you can't not mention that. He's so happy.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
and
he's
cute,
a good kid.
cute Liba on the shoulder.
Oh yes, he is a cute little Liba.
That's a great panel.
But we mostly the main thing to talk about here is that we get that number that we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Asta's been using this amazing devil contract form, devil union form. And what's the rules on it? Okay, now he's in excruciating full body pain and will not be able to use any devil type stuff for 30 minutes.
Yes, or black mode either. I love that.
Very bad for the whole team.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I love Nox's like kind of thinking here. The Dark Triad currently has power on the level of the highest devil class. I doubt the others will manage to last 30 minutes. So now we see another intense tide shift coming because Asta is out of Devil Union. They're pulling out all the stops to just deal with Dante. Sure, this hybrid devil is like dead, but at the same time, it's like that was all of the punitive forces like first push only got them that far. That's a good amount of stakes here now. You know what I mean? So all we need is I really need Morris to be the compelling ass villain of this arc, bro. He's being set up so well in the background. You're getting subtle mentions of him here and there doing dastardly shit, building him up. He's not just a face with I want to destroy the world coming out of his mouth. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of potential for depth there. And if we're going to be building up a final boss, I would expect it to be whatever crazy end game devil that they're going to probably have at the end of this arc.
Yeah.
But before then, I want there to be that Morris element, you know what I mean? That they have to get through with psychological, you know, strategy, with literally anything else than just swing my sword through you. You know what I mean? And just I'm mad and I hate everyone. Like I need the depth to come from someone in this arc.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So
it's clearly not coming from Dante. I mean,
Xenon is still there.
It's still possible.
Still got
for
Xenon,
sure.
and I got my fingers crossed for him too. There's a lot of potential on the board here.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot more optimistic than I probably ever have been in this arc.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, it's a lot of tight shit that could happen here. Yeah.
Yes. When you talk about Morris as being potentially the final boss of this arc, I think actually I totally agree with you, especially because of the narrative that is being portrayed by Noct on page 3, right? Where, as you're saying, right, like he's saying Dark Triad has the highest power level or whatever, people ain't gonna last 30 minutes. And then he keeps going and says, like, well, Morris, Morris is opening the gates of the underworld faster or whatever. Like, he's a problem. But the first thing we need to do before the next gate opens, is defeat the Dark Triad. And to me, I'm like, damn, like, really? Like, is that really the play? I feel like Morris is the play. Like, go kill Morris to make the gates not open, because at least you can contain the damage.
Sure.
But I think there's a couple reasons why you would go for the Dark Triad. One, maybe
the
like
protagonists are getting stepped on right now.
Exactly. You got to save your friends.
Yeah.
We're trying to have no one on the good guys die, ideally. So you do need you need to save Jack and other people, you know, who are fighting. But also, like, you could maybe argue that if they did go straight to Morris, the Dark Triad would just leave their fights because they're winning.
Oh, sure.
And then go stop you.
Yeah.
You know, and then it'd be all for naught, right? So you have to stop them first.
Yes.
Especially since the next gate isn't open yet. You do have time until the next gate opens.
True.
So in that time, let's fight the Dark Triad. But the fact that we are setting up that we are going to go after the Dark Triad first means to me that Morris will be the main bad guy, right? You save the main bad guy for last, right? So, like, I actually really like what you're saying, and I totally agree. I really want Morris to be the main bad guy, because, as you said,
the final boss devil is? Didn't they say it was like Lucifero or something? But he's already contracted with Dante, right? I'm thinking of a situation where Morris at the very end is like, and then like just morphs with the final boss, devil. Right. And then it's Morris and the final devil together in some kind of way. I'm thinking of a situation like that. I don't know if that'll actually happen.
Sure.
I'm just throwing possibilities out there.
I literally just had this thought right now on the fly as you were saying, like, because we're talking about what Morris's devil would be, right? Remember, like, a few chapters ago, someone, I forget who it was, maybe it was Noct. I think it was Noct. It was in Noct's flashback, right? Yeah. And he was talking about the 3 main devils, like the top 3 devils are gravity, space, and time. And we were commenting like, oh, it's weird that Megicula isn't one of those, right? Because Megicula is one of the Dark Triad.
Oh, sure,
and it's curse magic.
Yeah.
So where's that time devil?
Yeah.
Morris is currently increasing the speed, or you could say the rate, or the time of the portal opening. So what if Morris has the time devil? And that'd be fucking really, really, really strong. Super strong. Time is always the strongest ability. You know what I mean? So.
Yo.
Damn. If Morris has the time devil.
That's
I call that shit right here.
That is awesome.
Boy.
I'm not in Black Clover Twitter like that, and I'm not
in
me
Black either.
Clover
for sure not.
Like that, so someone may have already and most likely have already like thrown that out there, but
I'm sure they have. Yeah, for sure.
But like that's really cool for right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm loving that, bro.
Right. Anyway, I think that is all I had for Black Clover this week.
I'm going back through it to see too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was another really cool part of the conversation where I was complaining about how soft Magna feels, saying like I'm gonna beat your ass myself, and then going into a team attack with Zora, and then someone said that actually like kind of like makes him a little bit cooler, and it's like, yeah, actually it kind of does when you are really confident but still aware of your circumstances, to where you can talk shit in the face of adversity, but you're still like sweating because you know that you're probably not actually supposed to be there. You know what I mean? You can see that a lot in the art, which I think is really good for Magna's character. So shout out to, I think, Yusuke in our Discord for that.
Word. Oh yeah, Magna is definitely a G here. He is definitely stepping up way beyond what anyone would ever ask of him to do.
Yeah.
Everyone assumed he was just gonna, see you later, Magna, you're weak as hell.
Yeah.
And if he did, no one would yell at him because he is weak. But like he's really trying to step up here.
And he's fucking killing it, dude.
He is killing it, dude.
Yeah. But that's all I had for Black Clover.
Hell yeah.
All right, getting into My Hero Academia, chapter 310, Masters and Pupil.
This cover, dude.
This cover.
Yo.
Don't even really gotta say anything. It goes without saying. This is
this
is top 5 covers.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. It looks just great.
Yes, this is like the perfect cover for post Coma Deku.
Yes.
Coming out of that situation. And man, dude, I am loving this arc with fucking Rogue Deku, bro.
Me too. I love it.
And I think this chapter, what this chapter is doing is what we've kind of been waiting for inside of My Hero Academia, inside of this chapter, because it showcases what happens when people assume power and decide the fates of those they consider threats. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's
there's definitely
I was just gonna say it's deep as fuck, because like the first situation that's shown is one where people are targeting a minority, or
exactly.
in My Hero Academia, a fucking mutant class, quirk user, and it's like, man, this is that Spinner shit. This is that X-Men shit, that we've kind of been talking about.
We've been talking about this for sure.
But and as hype as it is in the story of My Hero Academia, it's actually kind of sad how relatable it is to our lives over here, in the States and whatnot. And I don't know if there was any awareness from Kohei about, kind of the situation in America or anything like that, or any other part of the world having any kind of influence in this, or if this is purely just an X-Men related, prejudice, against mutant, or ugly quirk user, kind of thing. I don't know. But this is massive, bro.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we've been talking about the potential for that racism, that anti-mutant, anti-monster type quirk. Prejudice or whatever. And we're seeing it here for sure. Deku just swinging right in here and dissolving the situation. What is the word? Dissolving, resolving? I don't know, like,
de-escalating,
diffusing the situation. He
yes.
does it just perfectly.
Yes.
And what I love about this scene, it's at the end, obviously, of his interaction with this. What kind of quirk does she have? Is it a fox? Is it a?
I'm not sure.
A dolphin? She has ears. I feel like it's fox, but like it's a very. I can't really tell what animal she's supposed to be. Matter, but page 7, right? He's making her feel better, and then it's in the rain, and he uses float quirk to rise up with the umbrella. Yo, he's got some moves.
He's
here
got the juice, fam. It really feels like a fully realized Deku.
Yes.
And like this is like so big because of how long it took us to get here. You know what I mean? And I've talked about the slow progression of Deku's strength eventually coming back to feel really good at this point in time in the manga, whereas in the beginning it turned a lot of people off because they're expecting this like raw power fantasy and a superhero story, but then you give the main character a quirk that he can't control for the first 150 chapters, and people are like, where's the power fantasy part at? Like, this dude's getting his ass kicked every fight and breaking his body. I don't feel powerful reading My Hero Academia. I feel like a brittle old man reading this shit, you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people had complaints about that. Same complaints that they have with like the Breaker. It's too slow in the beginning. Shiwu doesn't get tight fast enough, you know what I mean? A lot of people dropped it, in the first 10 chapters for shit like that, you know what I mean? And now that we have all of that to look back on when thinking about Deku right now, it makes this version of him feel that much better because of how meticulous, and tedious Kohei was with his development and progression. You know what I mean?
Right. Another thing to note with this dialogue as Deku is leaving this monster quirk type lady or whatever, she very much is the victim here, and she's talking about how afraid she is, and everything just turns so horrible so fast. And I actually really love Deku's dialogue here right after the umbrella panel where he says like, I bet everyone else is just as scared. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yes, those guys are shitbags, these civilians with the support tools, but Japan is fucked right now. You know what I mean? Like everyone is like super stressed out, and even Deku says this when he first arrives. Like he says, like page 5, I understand that it's a stormy night and everyone is on edge, but this woman's not a threat. Like leave her alone. You know what I mean? And definitely, I want to reiterate, these people are bad people. You know what I mean? These civilians. But Deku is.
You look
meant to be the bridge.
You got to be a bad guy, and if I shoot you right now, it's gonna look like self-defense because you're ugly and I'm normal looking. You know what I mean? Type shit. Yeah.
Right. But Deku here, generally in the story and especially in this arc, he's trying to fix society. You know what I mean? Society as a whole. He's not only trying to
diffuse situations.
Yeah, and not only trying to beat all for one.
Oh, sure.
He's trying to save the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like really fix things. And so you do need to. I think you do need to say that there, right? Where everyone else is just as scared as you are.
Yes.
And let's start from that place. You know what I mean?
Yes, that common denominator that everyone is on edge. No one's decision making is where it should be. Everyone's perception on things is obviously impaired for a multitude of different reasons. One, it's fucking dark, which is just scary for most people. Two, every villain just broke out of prison and they're attacking people indiscriminately. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense that people who are on edge and haven't been educated properly in diversity clearly
or trained,
you know what I mean, would literally see someone like this and assume it's a threat based on whatever their circumstances that led in that point. They're still shitty for being prejudice, but at the end of the day, it's like Deku finds that common denominator in everyone and wants to bring out the best in people, you know what I mean? And he's doing it while saving lives physically, which is Kohei just going back to what it really means to be a hero. It's not being a physical obstacle for villains, it's societal reform, it's keeping spirits high, morale, evacuation, safety, all of these areas of heroism that have been talked about since the very first chapter in class, in those boring ass classroom chapters that everyone says, blah, whatever about. Like, that's what gave us the world building that allows us to appreciate the culmination of that in an arc like this. You know what I mean? So Kohei's doing everything that he always knew he would set out to do, and I'm keeping a stack. I can't remember the exact times, but I have doubted Kohei in this regard a couple of times, and how I thought he would execute certain themes. And it's at a point now where it's like, you got benefit of the doubt from now on, buddy. Whenever things fly off the rails in My Hero Academia, I'm just going to assume Kohei's going to bring it right back. He's earned his stripes for me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm
yeah.
I'm loving this direction inside of My Hero Academia right now. One thing I want to say, someone made a funny ass comment on Twitter about All Might in this chapter, about how he goes from this Superman figure and as the symbol of peace to retiring and essentially becoming Batman. With this Batmobile, you know what I mean? And he's kind of like Deku's Alfred to a certain degree, you know what I mean? So it's just cool how it's going through all of those Western avenues that you would expect in really creative ways. But one thing that it feels like to me is that I don't think that All Might is, I don't think that this, well, it feels more like Batman Beyond to me, because Deku is kind of like the Terry McGinnis, and you know, All Might is like the old Bruce Wayne who trains, you know, the young Batman, you know what I mean? So it feels a lot more like that to me, but I loved that comment on Twitter. I can't remember who said it, but that shit had me rolling, fam. All Might's like a Jarvis or like an Alfred now. It's so good.
I love that Batman Beyond you know, parallel. Like I totally agree with that dynamic or whatever, for sure.
Yes, I love it.
Tosses him a tonkatsu, and
god, I need to make some soon now that I've seen this chapter.
But like I love that the wrapping, the napkin wrapping the tonkatsu, there's little bunnies on it. I have a little bunny, baby girl, pet or whatever, pet rabbit or whatever. But you know, generally, Deku is kind of a rabbit character. You know what I mean? Like, he's got these ears, and obviously All Might's antenna, you know, is also what that's based off of. But I feel like he's very rabbit-esque, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just like cute shit that, like, you could just look at that as like, oh, that makes sense. That's just cute. But like, I feel like it's another level of consideration of of All Might and Deku's relationship at the same time.
100%. Yes. Well said. That's definitely what I was going for. That this is speaking to more than just it's cute and a bunny, but like there's a connection there that, like, why did All Might pick that napkin, handkerchief, or whatever to wrap it up?
This off-screen sentimental shit that'll never have like exposition, but that you can just see right there. Like, this man, this is this man's son, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh yes.
That feels that's just so good to get little things like that. You know what I mean?
Yes. So as we go deeper into the chapter, now we start going into this dialogue first with the sixth, I think, Black Whip guy, sixth, and then we go into the one for all space, and this situation with the first two, the second, or I guess the second and the third, because the first is the first guy, right? Like Yoichi or whatever. This is something we definitely suggested could happen, you know what I mean? We're like, why are they standing against the wall? Well, maybe they're standing against the wall because they disagree with this whole being good and trying to save Shigaraki. It's like, no, like, we were there at the worst time. We were there in the bad times.
Running the planet, literally.
And like, we saw so many of our comrades died. We killed so many people trying to stop him. Like, we are not about trying to save All for One, you know what I mean, and save Shigaraki. And I just love that is their motivation, because I think it makes total sense. I also love that it was resolved. Yes, as the drama. I also love that it was resolved in one chapter. Like, say your piece, say why you believe this. Now let Yoichi, the original All for One. One for All. You know, user, the bro of All for One, let him say his piece, and then boom, resolved by the end of chapter. Beautiful.
And I love how emotional it is, and it really, at the end, culminates in a moment that is, I don't want to say cliche, but we see it all the time. You reached out to me, I took your hand, and then it was cool after that. Like, we've seen that so often, but how poetic the execution is on behalf of Kohei is what puts that spice on it that separates it from other similar moments. You know what I mean? Like, it feels so good and so natural that this ended with kind of a played out conclusion because of Kohei's little twang that he puts on shit inside of his character interactions and inside of this very emotional foundation that he has for his characters. For sure. I definitely hope we get more of the flashback to the second and the third, because, like, when he's saying that they on page 15 it is, they're in the
all one for all space, and he's saying like, you were there with us, you saw it all. I sought to bring down your brother and extinguished so many lives in the process. That's
a
intense.
heavy ass quote.
That's
though.
heavy. That's very heavy.
That has
I hope
so
we get
much
I
attached to
hope
it.
we get more of the what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. I think he
could
was kind
see
of
it
hinting.
being like
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I could see it being like indoctrinated followers
Yep.
that didn't really know what was going on, but were in really low points that followed All for One.
Yes.
And weren't
Yep.
actually like devious, dastardly, incorrigible villains, but that had to get smoked because they were on the wrong side when the heat, came on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I could totally see it being something like that, and I feel like it would have to be something like that because like casualties of war like that is the only. Well, at the same time, these could just be the kind of heroes that hate when they have to kill anyone, even if they're pieces of shit. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of situation. But I think that kind of adds to the moral blur, in the manga, if it really was a circumstance like that, where it was like, hey, I understand that you really probably shouldn't have been here. You don't need to die, but you're on the wrong side at the wrong time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry,
I think that is what they're hinting at.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it is what they're hinting at on page 14, where the third, he says, it was an era when All for One's control spread unchecked. Those who were under his control didn't even realize it.
Oh my God. And then there's I completely forgot that line of dialogue was even there.
But there's two options here, right? One is kind of what you were saying, right? That like brainwashed, right? Or they just got caught up in the bandwagon, got caught up in the fervor. And of course it was a shitty time for everyone, I'm sure, because of All for One. But they wanted protection, right? So they were kind of brainwashed into following him.
And it's probably easy because everyone is scared. That's the ease. That's the time to manipulate and take advantage of people, is when they're scared of a certain threat and you are that helping hand that promises comfort and protection.
Right. But is it not also possible that Mr. steals quirks all the time, All for One, maybe he had a brainwashing quirk? Like a make you do what I want, and they didn't even realize it. You wouldn't realize it. You're a zombie under the control of All for One.
Right.
But these guys, like, they're good. The second and the third, they're good guys. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't undo that quirk unless you kill All for One.
Right.
And these people are protecting All for One. I got to get to the boss. You know what I mean? Like,
so these were a couple of Yuji Itadoris that had to fucking kill humans that were being used by the enemy that weren't actually shitty people.
Right.
And how did they deal with that? That element,
very scary.
That element in shonen storytelling, I feel like, is such a gold mine if the execution is proper. Because you just don't dive into utilitarianism that often inside of shonen storytelling, where there is such, most of the time, obvious white sides of morality at play. You know what I mean? So Kohei in the bag again. Oh my God.
So let me ask you your opinion of, what do you think the second's ability is?
Oh dude, I don't know.
We can look at him mostly on pages 16 and 17. He's got like a blaster on his arm, like kind of Bakugo a little bit.
Yeah.
But is he like a bishop, a cable type, do you think? Like an energy
was literally just
beam?
When you stopped talking, I was literally just going to say maybe he's a bishop, and this fucking blaster is just tech that amplifies the power redirection quirk that he has.
Right.
Dude, if he's like a bishop, bro, that would complete me for reasons that are obvious to some people. But like, oh my God.
But getting a beam, Deku getting a beam.
Well,
attack,
dude, it makes sense. It's like, if you're gonna make him Superman, like Superman's a lot more than just flight. I mean, sure, you could say float.
That's fair.
And super strength is but Superman's got fucking laser beams and shit too.
Laser eyes.
I mean? Laser eyes.
Needs some sort of beam.
Yeah, if you're not gonna give Deku laser eyes, then you can supplement that in so many ways that still make sense to comics. You know what I mean? Like, look at Havoc. Havoc is basically. Havoc is Cyclops' brother, and he's basically got the same power, but he shoots it out of his arms and his body instead of his eyes.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? So it could be, I don't fucking know, man, some kind of way to use the laser beams in a way that makes sense for Deku, obviously channeled through hero tech, and also a way that calls back to Western comics, obviously inside of Cyclops and Superman and Havoc. I would love it.
Yeah.
I think I need it.
I think I need that to be.
I think I need that to be what's going on here, because it's like, Now, when you have a gun and you have a blaster, you're either going to
Mhm.
shoot bullets or arrows or most
Sure.
likely a fucking beam, given the barrel.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
The barrel
And
looks like a beam
it's
beam
gotta
type.
be a beam.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be anything else.
I don't know if I go that far, but I certainly agree with the beam theory for sure.
Yes. Oh, Black Whip into Spider Sense, into Float, into Ninja Vanish, Smoke Screen, Deku.
Yes.
And these are all things that it's like Kohei found such a brilliant way to make this power make sense inside of Deku, because you already had you already had the situation where All For One can take a whole bunch of quirks. So like, how do you beat a motherfucker like that unless you're also someone who has multiple quirks?
Right.
But we didn't really like think about that until Black Whip came out, and then we were like, what the fuck is this? Deku with more abilities? This is OP. And it's like, wait a minute, no, his final boss can do this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like, let's just chill. But then it still feels weird at the time because you're like, I don't want Deku to just have a whole bunch of quirks suddenly, but it wasn't. He fucking, and we've talked about it before on the show. He sucked with everything for a with all of these new abilities for a long time. You know what I mean? And now that we got Shigaraki running rampant after his rebirth, you know, in the last arc, now that automatically makes Deku with multiple quirks feel that much better on top of the slow progression to mastering them. And now that he's right here with all of these he's basically a Swiss Army knife of a character, it couldn't feel more perfect that he needs to be exactly where he's at right now. You know what I mean? And for Kohei to take such a jarring moment, like in joint training when he first uses Black Whip, and all of the crazy discussion and speculation and criticism that came from that, eventually turning into something that feels this smooth and buttery. Oh my God. Kohei, stop playing with this man. Please, internet, stop playing with this man. Like, you can come talk to me about it. Twitter, comment section. We could do this. I'm ready to do it now. I have time officially.
DMs are open.
Yes, they are. Anyway.
There's one thing I wanted to point out that was, you know, I think pretty obviously said in the chapter, but it was only one dialogue bubble, and I really think it's cool, so I wanted to mention it just in case people missed it, because I missed it on my first read through. Is that go to page 16, 17. That you know, and this on 17, Yoichi the first, you know, says it explicitly. But this room, the One For All room, is the room he was locked in, trapped in by One For All, or All For One. And so on 16, 17, top of 16, you can see the door is closed. The white room they're in is the One For All space, and you have the second and the third next to the door. And then of course the next panel is them busting in to rescue him. And it's the same door. It's the exact same door, but now you're seeing them break into it, into the blackness, into the place where Yoichi is. And he says on 17, our battle never could have begun if you hadn't taken me from this room on that day. So I just wanted to point that out in case anyone missed it.
That's
the room they're in is the room Yoichi was trapped in.
Super tight. The only thing that's weird is that like there's a detail from door to door that just isn't there on both, and it's that fucking wheel.
That's because he was locked in. The wheel's only on the outside.
Yeah, but isn't that the outside of the door that they're standing against the wall of?
No. Everyone is in the room. The One For All space is in the locked room.
Wait a minute. So the whole time, no, because I could have sworn that they were all sitting in this room, and then off in the distance you saw them facing this wall with this door on it.
Yeah. So they are on the top of 16.
Yep.
They're facing the wall. There's a door with no handle.
Yeah, and you're saying that on the other side of that door is the rest of is the rest of the vestiges.
No. Is the handle. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the white room everyone is in is inside of a locked safe or a locked vault. And that's the room that Yoichi was in, and the second and the third broke in. So that you broke in, now you see the handle from the other side of the door.
No, I'm so slow. I feel so ashamed right now. Okay. Thank you, though.
Yes. So just in case anyone missed that, I thought that was a very cool detail. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's awesome. Fuck yeah. Good shit, dude.
Yeah. And then, I think the only the only other thing I had was at the end of the chapter. That now, as I said at the beginning, you know, like we have this beautiful chapter of like the conflict and the drama of why the second and third would be opposed to Deku, but they've resolved it, and now everyone's
now
on board.
Whole fam damnly on his shoulders, cuz. Come on, man.
And I love the kind of meta commentary, meta storytelling when, at least I think so in my opinion, right, where now the second is saying, listen up, boy. Things are bound to move more quickly from. I think that is Kohei telling us, strap in.
Yeah.
This series is going to start moving a lot faster from here on out. You know what I mean? And I hope so, because that'd be so tight.
Yes, sir. We already have like the perfect amount of setup for Deku in this new fully realized form. We got the setup of him doing all of the other areas of hero shit. We're probably going to still see all of those areas throughout whatever the rest of the shit he does is. But this is a good foundation of the new mindset that Deku has. We know what he's talking about now. So you can just throw him into whatever physical action situations you want. And the character work has already kind of been laid as a foundation for the future of this arc, if it is going to go into a more high octane mode. You know what I mean? So Kohei's ground game is disgusting before conflict starts. So I'm ready, son. We got everything we needed coming out of Paranormal Liberation Front War. The Todoroki family drama killed that. Beautiful. The fucking jailbreak shit.
Ooh.
Come on, son. This is perfection going into whatever the fuck the next leg of this adventure is, bro. I'm ready.
So ready.
Hell yeah. Was there anything else you had?
No, that's all I had.
Fuck yeah. Okay. Peace de l'existence. One Piece Wa, chapter 1011, The Code of Sweet Beans. How do we feel about this fucking color spread, bro?
It is absolutely fantastic, but my god, that close-up of Nami in like the background or whatever, my god.
It's giving me thoughts, okay?
God, some thoughts.
It's giving me some thoughts, all right?
But I have to say that the whole spread maybe is the most colorful one yet. I don't know, like the colors are so great.
It's the whole
gradients,
spectrum.
The gradients of like blue to green or purple to blue or orange to green. Oh, just looks so front to back. Everything about it so incredible.
All types of Roy G. Biv going on.
And I love when the color spreads have a little quote. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're always so good. Like, it's difficult to think anything but pleasant thoughts while eating a soft serve. It's like, damn, okay.
You're not lying.
Give me a soft serve.
Exactly.
You ain't lying.
That's why, you know, everybody fucking eats a bucket of ice cream after a breakup and shit. You know what I mean?
Or just, you know, after a hard day of work or whatever, you know, every day.
Whatever, Dude, brilliant color spread, bro.
Yeah, I just love it.
But this chapter, son,
this chapter was big.
All right, so it was a homie. We did make a new homie. We got Hera now.
Yes. Now, do you
wish it was Conqueror's Haki stuff, but this is fine.
Yes. Do you think this is because we see Prometheus again on page 17, so I feel like Prometheus is still around. He's definitely on page 16. Yeah. He's definitely on page 16. But I guess I was kind of assuming that Hera was an upgraded Prometheus, right?
Sure.
Because what was Prometheus asking for exactly, right? Like, I assumed he was saying, like, hey, mama, like, can you make me more powerful or whatever? Like, make me lightning and cool as hell, right? And like, okay, cool, I'll turn you into Hera, right?
Yeah.
But why is Prometheus still around? And then
I think what he said was just, let's just make a new guy while Zeus is fucking around. Yeah.
I think that has to be it almost, right? Like, hey, let's just say fuck Zeus, like get him out of here, like let's just make a new homie, make Hera being Zeus's sister and wife, but you know, like ancient Greek shit, it's weird as hell. But like another one of the most powerful gods in the Olympian pantheon or whatever.
Yes.
So I just think it's so sick, and
I love it.
And she's got like, it must be like some sort of like Miss Pac-Man kind of setup, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yes, mama. You know, she's got like lipstick or whatever. Like, damn.
And I love how like it kind of like goes into, you know, how Zeus and, you know, Prometheus and her homies kind of act as not only her conscience at times, but also just her intellect. It's like all of the areas of her brain, you know, that are used for literally anything other than what Big Mom does. Big Mom is just an emotional ball of power. You know what I mean? She doesn't really think too much. She's very confident because she has living versions of those areas of her brain kind of like working for her outside of herself, you know what I mean? So it makes sense that the cliffhanger leaves off with Prometheus having an idea that you want to say Mama should have just came to the conclusion of herself.
Sure.
But, you know, she needs those homies to think for her in those ways, I think, you know what I mean? So that makes it feel a little bit better.
You're definitely giving me a crazy thought that like, this is so interesting that like Big Mom can kind of trust her homies. I mean, the homies are her. Like her soul is in them. Like she definitely can trust their advice a lot of the time because that's her almost talking to herself. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
and they're used as like Three Stooges, like slapstick comedy most of the time. So you would never maybe, you know, think of that possibility normally. But like, I think that's a really cool, I don't know if we've gotten, maybe we have in Whole Cake Island kind of gotten maybe dialogue about something close to that. But I can't remember it. It just feels really good right now.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I like that this Fulgora attack was so powerful, it actually briefly knocked out Kid and undid the magnetism on the box enclosing Zeus. And so Zeus is like, oh, okay, like the box came undone. That's cool. I guess I'll go find Big Mom or whatever.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's good. It all everything, all the shit that happens throughout in this chaos, bro, it all makes sense, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's just so impressive of Oda to have such a chaotic situation make sense in so many little subtle areas that all tie into the overall picture. It's a very it's just Oda shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just come on now.
A perfect example of that is on the bottom of page 5, right? So Law is basically saying like, all right, like shit's fucked. Like I am going to leave. I'm going to leave you here alone and take everything else. And Luffy's like, sure. But then there's 3 pops. Pop, pop, pop. And one of them's like, ah. And that is Zeus. He took Zeus too.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I love that. I love that, like, the detail of, like, it's him, Zoro, and Zeus all taken down into the skull or whatever. Just great.
Love it. Luffy and Kaido still boxing. I love
Did you expect the first panel to be Kaido on the ground?
No, not really.
Yo,
he's like, shit. All right. We see what's going on here. Now okay. I just remembered something.
Sure.
There was, I'm not going to be able to remember enough for it to make sense, but there was a tweet that someone had that someone who like I think goes out of their way to like add context to mistranslations or you know, omitted translations or whatever that Viz decides to do. And they made a comment about this line of dialogue here with Kaido. I can tell you're enjoying yourself. The more precarious the situation, the bigger your smile. And man, I'm so mad that I can't remember because I wanted to remember, but they said that there was a different thing about the dialogue in this moment where Kaido says something that like implies it's about the will of D specifically.
Oh, sure. Like if you're on the brink of death, that's when your smile comes out, just as like it always does for the D, the true Ds or whatever, right?
The bigger your smile, like the more dangerous you are because Ds are just some grinning ass motherfuckers that like always smile before they do some drastic ass shit.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're saying like it was maybe not even the basic like, yes, we're going to remind you that D's smile, but even more so that like maybe revealing even more about what the D means.
Someone said some wild ass shit. They said the fucking D is actually a smiley face.
And
that it represents a big ass grin and shit. I'm like, stop, bro. This is too.
That's too much.
We're too deep. I can't do that right now. But dude, shout out to like whatever. I just found that account. But I went back through and it looks like they do this kind of shit regularly. Shout out to people who do shit like that though. For
hell yeah,
translation situations like that because it really does a lot inside of the community, especially for people's appreciation and understanding of One Piece. So shout out to Dems
for sure. Yeah, I love just this. The very few panels we have of the Kaido Luffy exchange in this chapter are just incredible. I mean, like, and seeing them both go at each other, basically with you know Ryo, you know Luffy obviously having Ryo and Kaido. I think on the middle panel, the middle up and down panel of page 7, I think the fact that the lightning is kind of in between them with gaps on either side of the lightning does imply that like Kaido is maybe he's not using Ryo specifically, but like he's basically doing the exact same thing by imbuing his weapon with Conqueror's Haki.
See, like that's the thing is that I think that the gap in the attacks is the like the cushion of like Ryuo because it's like the and then like the what keeps them from touching is the Ryuo, but then the Ryuo and the attack itself is just imbued with Conqueror's Haki, and that's adding to it, you know, in ways that we can't see on screen, and also with the Black Lightning, you know what I mean? So I think it's always a combination of Ryo and Conqueror's Haki whenever we see this kind of clash.
Oh, okay, sure. So even Luffy is not. It's either that Ryo always has Conqueror's Haki baked in, or Luffy is always baking it in with his specific Ryo. Or whatever.
Well, right,
One
because
of those two.
because he only started. I think we only started getting these clashes similar to Roger and Whitebeard after Luffy
kind of had that realization of like
that realization.
What Kaido does.
Right, exactly. But I think that. Oh man, now I don't know, because it's like, did he hit him with Ryo in a way that showed that Ryo illustration effect like we have on Sentomaru and like we have on Rayleigh? They weren't fucking using Conqueror's Haki when they did those, you know, those cushioning, you know, Ryo effects. You know what I mean? Like Ashigara Dokoi, whatever that technique is from Sentomaru. There was no Black Lightning on that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
as far as I remember,
I don't think that Conqueror's Haki alone is the reason why they're not touching. I think that Conqueror's Haki is involved, but the cushion effect of them not touching is the Ryo specifically.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I definitely agree. The cushioning is Ryo, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Black Lightning definitely makes me think that Conqueror's Haki is also involved here for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this looks incredible. I just love the art of the lightning, of the cushioning, of the battle generally between Luffy and Kaido is just fantastic looking.
And the choreography especially, because it's very, like we were saying kind of on the show a couple weeks ago, it's very pre-time skip One Piece feeling, you know what I mean? Because since the post-time skip, I feel like a lot of the conflicts have just been big clashes of attacks with a lot of like emotional and narrative weight kind of like carrying, you know, the fights like through in to supplement the lack of choreography for the most part, at least in these close quarters situations. But now that it's actually a serious 1v1 fight, and I mean we saw it with Katakuri too, it kind of like was an ode to Luffy and Lucci in that regard, but I just love seeing so much hand-to-hand choreography at this scale with just two people. It's something that I feel like doesn't happen as often in One Piece nowadays because it's such a team-oriented, story-driven thing. You know what I mean? So and so much world building and so much overall story that needs to happen. There's almost like not time to like have the epic battles. But so I love that we're having at least a good chunk of the chapter be some pretty nice clashes. Love it, man.
Hawkins is back.
Hawkins is back, you raggedy bitch. I love Hawkins, but goddamn, is he playing the snake role very well, dude?
Yes, definitely.
Fuck yeah, and I love the dialogue here. Best of luck to you, killer. Like, go to hell. I don't need a single ounce of your luck. Man, it was so much more drastic in the scan, and this time I actually will go and find the actual thing.
While you're doing it, like the panel before is also pretty badass dialogue, right? Where he's saying like, your chances of dying here are 92%, and then Killer kind of responds like, "Oh, more fortune telling? Well, let me tell you, fortune favors the bold." And he laughs. You know what I mean? It's like that's badass. Like all of these interactions are super badass dialogue for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can't find it, but I think the line of dialogue was something along the lines of. It's like you're still hung up on those predictions. I believe in my abilities and what I'm able to do like in real time. I'm not worried about potential futures. I'm worried about what I'm capable of in this moment
right now.
That's what I bank my life on, type shit. You know what I mean? I can't find the exact translation right now, but it was something raw like that. You know what I mean?
Nice. I love that.
I don't need a single ounce of your luck. Oh.
Yeah, that maybe could be improved or whatever, but it is what it is. Yeah. More Tama stuff with Nami and Usopp. I love Tama, and I love that we get confirmation that the Kibi Dango cannot work against regular Zoan types, just smiles and animals or whatever.
And I think this is something that we could have expected from Oda. You know what I mean? Like, this is such an obvious tide shifting ability. Once you see her, kind of put speed under that spell for the first time, all types of ideas were flying. Oh, so this is how they're gonna win. Tama's gonna go in and turn all of Kaido's subordinates into allies, including King and Queen and it's like, no.
Right.
It's just the fucking smile users. And whenever things like seem so like off the rails and obvious and dumb like that, I feel like those are the moments where Oda is like, oh no, I'm definitely injecting a serious caveat here.
Oh yeah.
Whereas there's a lot more hand wavy stuff going on in the background in times where it doesn't matter as much. When it's real and it's actually important to the narrative, wild abilities always have drawbacks that like keep the shit, engaging and compelling. You know what I mean?
100%.
And 100%. Fucking Usopp is hooping this chapter, boy. Hold on. Yo. Fireworks, flowers, into the exploding pine cone hell zone grenade. I don't even know what's going on, but this Usopp, yes, this is what I wait for in Usopp's character, because
100%.
It's always going to be comical. He's always going to be crying a little bit. He's always going to say some bitch ass shit. But when he turns up, the moves are going to look sick as fuck. His kit is just that tight now, to where it's such an intense supplement to his cowardice at this point. You know what I mean? Like, at least we get this type shit sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure. And going up against a hybrid form page 1. I mean, like, that's that's pretty intense. You know what I mean? And
and he's hardcore stifling him too. Like, page 1 doesn't know what to do with this shit.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. Now, how did you feel when you were flipping through the first time you read this and Big Mom appears in this scene? I was like, oh no.
Dude, I'm so like used to just like my heart sinking whenever the Straw Hat crew encounters Big Mom. This is a testament to how well Oda has built her up until this moment, that just the crew members can't deal with her in any regard. Running into her is a heart-dropping, I'm going down a roller coaster type moment, you know what I mean?
Right.
And say what you want about Big Mom's character and how she's been handled since Whole Cake Island or whatever, she is still very much a threat. Oda has other uses for her in the plot that require her to do things like we kind of like see, happening in this chapter. But at the end of the day, none of that threat is really lost to me. You know what I mean? Because even though she's kind of turned into an ally now with this whole like Thomas situation, her personality is so unstable that like, chaotic, how long is this Big Mom ally even going to last in the midst of all of this chaos? I'm sure we have all of these assumptions of how this is going to go, and now this is such a huge tide shift. Big Mom is on the Straw Hat team. What can they possibly have to worry about? You don't know what other kind of twists and turns Oda will throw in here, and you can be fucking sure that there will be more. So this situation inside of Big Mom not only makes perfect sense inside of her character as far as the history of it up until this point, but also it doesn't take away from the stakes like at all to me. You know what I mean? It's a great little moment where we can feel triumphant for a little bit amidst such staggering odds. But I don't think this lasts for very long, to be honest with you.
Sure. I don't know. I think it has the potential to last, because
it definitely does.
I'm pretty sure, and I've actually only watched and read One Piece post time skip the one time, right? So like I don't fully remember the very, very end of Fishman Island, but I'm pretty sure that the entire reason Big Mom is like super angry at Luffy, right? Like there was like the bomb and the treasure or whatever. Luffy didn't put that shit there. Like it's not Luffy's fault there was like a bomb in the treasure or whatever, right?
That's true.
And that was a misunderstanding. And Nami saved and is super good friends with Lola. And of course, like Big Mom doesn't really like Lola, right? But like I feel like there could be still, there's many ways that Big Mom could eventually be like, I guess maybe at the end of the day, I don't hate you, Luffy. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe I was mistaken this whole time. You know what I mean? I agree. I totally agree with you that, like, she's so chaotic that it's very unlikely that she'll just remain good.
Right. I think it'll be more of a situation where Big Mom helps in ways that can't help but happen while she's on this kind of like wherever her path goes, she's helping on the way to her objective, but she's not going out and making sure all the Straw Hats are okay. She's not come in, you guys, we're good, we're a team now. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be Big Mom is pissed right now with the information that she just got. She attacked page 1, and everyone on the protagonist side that's around her currently is probably good. But then she's going to go off in other areas. People are going to be getting fucked up still in other. She's not going to come through and Superman the whole situation now that she's an ally or whatever. You're just going to see convenient times where she's around and you don't have to worry as much as she's on her warpath wherever she's going. And I feel like that it's fine. You know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean?
oh yeah,
Because it
for
doesn't
sure.
have to, like, as long as Big Mom is not the reason the day is legitimately won.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And even if she is, I feel like Oda could write the shit out of that. But I mean, as of right
Yeah,
now, I feel like the thing people are the most worried about is that Big Mom is the reason why the day is saved because she flips sides like this. And it's like, I don't see Oda going
yeah.
that far with it. You know what I mean?
No, no. No, I don't think so. Definitely, yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think I totally agree with what you're saying. That
Hmm.
she's definitely going to do some things that will benefit the Straw Hat crew in the
Yes.
short term.
Yes.
But I think it's very likely we're going to see her flip back and
Right.
forth a couple times. You know,
Yeah. And at the end of the
at least
day,
back
she
once,
might
right?
end up in a place nowhere near Tama and then completely
Yeah.
forget she was even around and go right
Yep.
back into,
Yep.
Big Mom ultra threat mode. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you never know how it's going to go. But I love her as the plot device she is. I think that a
Yes.
lot of people that have been calling her a plot device, like on the timeline, don't understand that that's not an inherently negative thing. Like there
Right.
are good plot devices and they're used
Mm-hmm.
all the time. We see them all the time and never comment on them because they're doing their job. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not,
Yep.
it doesn't feel like a Deus Ex Machina all the time. And this doesn't really feel like a Deus Ex Machina either, obviously, because the conversation that we just had about the potential of the future of this situation.
Right.
But also it's just like, man, like let plot devices be used. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is a good one, and at least it's not out of nowhere some hand wavy shit. At least there's build up to it. At least it
Yep.
makes sense in the character of Big Mom. You know what I mean? There's a
Yep.
lot of times where plot devices are used in this manner that don't have nearly as much build up to it or narrative like link, at all.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's just the protagonists need this situation right now. Inject the plot device. We'll explain it later. Maybe. You know what I mean? Here you go, have fun. It's still lit type shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Oda
And
makes a point to make this shit make sense inside of his specific framework. You know what I mean?
right. And let Big Mom be nuanced. Let her actually
Yes.
have some good aspect to her where she's like, wow, someone helped me when I had amnesia. They gave me, good food or whatever. Like they were very kind to me. And people that I thought were my friends
Right.
raised that entire town and killed all those people. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm going
Right.
to, speak my mind and say, like, there's still a code of honor among pirates, and
Right.
clearly Kaido's forgotten it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
bam! Like, I just think, like, why not let Big Mom have some nuance to her character? She doesn't have to
Exactly.
be pure bad.
Well, look at all the other Yonko. You have Kaido, who is the obvious, incorrigible threat that needs to be taken down no matter what. Big
Mhm.
Mom can, like, not every single Yonko has to be a direct stepping
Yes.
stone for Luffy to directly beat in order to become the Pirate King.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, obviously, Kaido's a threat. Do we really think he's going to have to go toe to toe with Shanks for real? Just because he's a
Right.
fucking Yonko? Probably not.
Right,
You have
right.
Shanks that is, like, more or less widely understood as just an ally of Luffy.
Yep.
You know what
yep.
I mean? Inside of the Yonko. Then you have
Right.
Kaido, who is an obvious threat. Blackbeard, who is an obvious threat. Let fucking Big Mom exist somewhere in the fucking middle.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
yes.
totally fine. Why don't you want a colorful cast?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Something to note, I think everyone probably noticed when Big Mom hit page 1 and basically broke the dude's neck or whatever.
Holy moly rockets.
Rio, she's
Yeah.
using that same, gap kind of punch as everyone else. So, like,
she's
I just think
pissed.
that's very cool for her ranking. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In terms of the overall power scaling or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think we've ever seen Big Mom use like Rio before, right?
I don't think so. I don't
I don't
yeah.
remember anyway.
Yeah,
Let us know in the
I don't remember
comments.
that.
Remind us in the
Yeah.
comments if she has.
Yeah, definitely let us know if we're wrong there for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think Ulti is going to be able to do much in this situation?
Yeah, it's like, man, it's like I don't think she's being shown here at the end as like a possible,
Gonna go Super Saiyan and like really be a threat or something.
Yeah. I think that this is going to be a more emotional avenue, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And character driven avenue, of maybe this is when Ulti really starts to think about like what side she's on. And I
Sure.
mean, obviously she clearly cares about page 1 more than she cares
Oh,
about
yeah.
anyone else involved in this, you know what I mean? So if page
Yes.
1 is essentially on life support after this, maybe she's like, I don't know if I really like what is like Kaido, kind of a dick. My like best friend is dying. Like, fuck this. I'm just gonna like, I don't know, dude. It could go.
Help him, yeah.
I don't fucking know, dude. But either way, it's like taking threats off the page in more ways than just physically removing them is always like cool too in the midst of a war, because Oda can write the shit out of those situations, and I'm all for more character work at any point in time in One Piece. So
For sure.
I like fucking Ulti a lot, and I like her dynamic with Page One as like antagonists. You know what I mean? Because they don't really feel like Page One boxed Sanji in the first, earlier in the arc, and you're like, oh shit, so this is what Kaido's people kind of look like. You know what I mean? You're like, this is the kind of threats that we're about to see. But then now it's like, it's just like buddy cop Ulti and Page One, like action comedy shit, and I'm like kind of here for it, and I kind of want them to be cool and like safe and like chill. You know what I mean? Like I don't need them to be these big, villains that have to go down with Kaido. Like I love the stragglers that end up doing other shit later in like a really, unexpected, nuanced way. I love that kind of shit, and I feel like we have a really good setup for that inside of Page One and Ulti. So.
And which is something that's happened many times, many times over the whole story, right? Say, Mr. 3, Das Bones. I'm sure there's tons and tons of situations where you can name situations where
Bellamy, kinda.
Bellamy, Bellamy a little bit, right? Where there was a bad guy who we beat him or her, but the characters in One Piece aren't stagnant. They still are alive and able to, have actions in the world, and so they're going to do other things, and we're going to see them in other situations where they're separated from the, the crew they were in, and now they can be their own person, and they're not pure evil. Almost no one is like pure evil in this story.
Right.
So it's like, I'm totally here for it for sure.
Me too, man. Wow. Do you have anything else for One Piece?
No, I think that's all I had.
Fuck yeah. This was a big conversation to go into the break with.
Break.
I know.
Oh, man.
I know, dude. It'll be nice though. It'll be nice to chill, but man.
And everyone, all the mangaka obviously earned it. I mean, this has been a fantastic week or whatever for Jump.
And Jujutsu Kaisen's on break like again by itself after Golden Week.
What?
Yeah, so when we come back from break, we don't have Jujutsu Kaisen again until May 16th.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Shoot.
But fuck it. They gave us one hell of a fucking week to send off on, I tell you what.
Yes. Hell yeah.
But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did, make sure you slap a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe if you're new. And hit the bell icon next to that so we can chirp you when the new content is live. Don't forget to visit the description section so you can follow us on Twitter. Join our online communities like Discord. Listen to us anywhere you normally consume your podcasts like Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and whatnot. And there's also ways that you can support what we do here by checking out our online store and our Patreon if you've been so kind. But with all that said, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Project Manga Podcast. Wrapping up, I'm your host, Knox.
And I'm Nickums.
We'll catch y'all next time.